Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and thank you again for joining on another session of Talking Sip Saturday night. And here we go. The first thing that you should have on Talking Sip is to have a drink. What are you drinking tonight? Now, you can be drinking anything. Um, Got to keep within level. I remember one time I brought some cake to some colleagues. It was Jamaican fruit cake, and I said to them, "You got to eat it within reason, you know, because it can be dangerous, you know." So, but anyway, it's a Saturday evening, Saturday the 27th of the 5th, 2023, and we are aiming all the way to December. Can you imagine? It's already let's might as well we call it June. It's already June. Next week is going to be June, and that's going to be a very awesome month. I believe every month is awesome, and so I want to thank you so much. And for those, actually, tonight I'm not going to go onto Instagram. I'm going to go onto TikTok. Actually, I'm going to try something else. I've been testing out TikTok for a while, and one of the reasons why I'm tapping into TikTok is I was on a couple times and I was very touched by some of the responses and people genuinely asking for information and especially discussing the whole bit regarding the referendum. Sorry, not referendum. Well, eventually referendum. The passport, even not even the passport, even that as well. But talking about the republic and talking about the salaries, and there's so much interaction in regard to that. So people are very hungry for information. And the interesting thing about information is that let me just turn this thing down. The interesting thing about information is that people always be gravitating towards information. And the big question is, what is the information that they're getting? Right? And for years, many people are brought up in a way with a particular way of how they were brought up, or we say in Jamaica sometimes, or brought up, say. And in this new era or in this new dispensation, many things are different, and therefore you got to recognize that for those who want to influence, they'll make sure that they're in the position where they can influence. And for those who sometimes say they can't get bother with some of these new networks, i.e., social media, i.e., Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and everything, you see that they're going to be left behind because actually the way the world is moving, one has got to be in tune with it. But the important thing about the way the world is being in tune, that doesn't mean to say it has got to actually take control of you, but you got to take control of it. That's what I believe. And therefore, when those who want to influence in their agendas will be out there and reaching out to the people who want to be influenced or asking questions, they'll be more successful because guess what? They are reaching the people. So therefore, it's very important that we all somehow try to reach to people as much as possible. So yes, so I'll be on TikTok, super silby, you know, and that's important thing. Now, one of the things that I have on tonight, I've got on this shirt here, which is called it's called Boost Mode, and and this came out of my walk and talk in the morning, walk and talk motivational moments. And walk and talk motivational moments is something which I do since the lockdown, going out there. And the shirt is what we call a product or byproduct of the vision. Because one of the things that I always say and is that we will spend a lot supporting every other thing. We spend a lot supporting Nike, we spend a lot supporting Adidas, we spend a lot supporting different things, and sometimes we don't get anything back. So I believe as much as possible, not for me only, but that we support every other person, every other agenda, and things which are beneficial to us. One of the things that I said to someone who comes on the show regular, I said, "Listen, send me your information so I can actually even make promote it." And there we are. What I did was there's a sister here. I grew up with her actually, Stacey, and she does these beautiful soap, Fruity Love soap, Manuka honey soap. You know, there's the prices there: £3, £4. Strawberry Surprise, coffee shop, lavender soap, frankincense soap, peppermint soap. I can go a lot. Honey granule soap, and you can text or call her. She's in the States. 1347 356 6758 to place an order. Yeah. 345 1 347 356 6758 to place an order. And that is really powerful, ladies and gentlemen. So you see the power that we can, if we really support, and we build each other. So I'm going to actually just get this set up on Instagram. Well, tonight, the topic is going to be, where are we now, regarding the Republic? Where are we now in regards to the issue in Jamaica regarding the salaries? Where are we now? Is there a competing factor? Is there a competing factor between the Republic advocacy and with the salaries and the rollback? Is there something competing, or everybody is going at the same time? There are various different networks in Jamaica, which I've got to realize. You got JAMP, you got Advocacy Network, you got National Integrity Organizations. And one of the things that I've said is it would be very important and very crucial if these somehow can be coordinated in a way whereby I use the word like a genogram. A genogram is something which sort of pull things together, where we see how these all relate and how these all interact in the big picture in Jamaica. And I'm going to see if I can actually play even a snippet of the discussion that I had last week with, well, Sunday night I had Miss Jeanette Calder. She's from JAMP Network, and I'm going to see if I can play just a small bit of it as well, because I believe it's very educational, a very educational tool. Because sometimes people are wanting to, how can you actually track your MP? How can you actually know what they're doing? How can you say thanks, or you can actually give them a bloody nose or something like that? And I'm going to just see if I can play a bit of it, just to show you how there's lots of information which is out there. And if I can just bear with me for a second, turn this down, and let me see if I can actually share the screen. If I can share it, and then it will come up. Where we go. Dun, dun, dun. It's not responding. Well, thank you for. Yeah, there we are. There we go. And
into consideration when we're talking about a promotion. Those are some of the details. Yeah. First year after. if we're grading, is where the magic. So as I said, in terms of the time and the interest, gentle folks, you're gonna have to come, please, and check them all out. But I think Silburn and I should just focus on two to give you an idea. So the MP tracker in the middle, Silburn, is the one that most citizens will discover. And the reason they discover it, Silburn, you know why? In 2023 Jamaica, and catch this, folks. In 2023 Jamaica, if you're looking for your MP and you don't know how to find them, it's very hard to hold somebody to account, if you can't find him. It's very hard for you to get him to perform if you can't find him to ask him. So there is nowhere in Jamaica today where citizens can just put in them MP name and get the contact information. So that's actually a service that this tracker provides. If you scroll down, we talk about a little bit about the parliament with some facts, mostly for students. We explain what the MP tracker is. But if you come down some more, just to give them a little bit, what you begin to see to the left are the filter options for how you can find information. So you have parliamentarians, you can type in a name, you can go in by party, you can go in by the position you're looking for, or a ministry. What if it's a minister you're trying to find and you don't know who he is? So let's try, for instance, I'll tell you why I think of Robert Miller. Let's put in Robert Miller for the Jamaica Labour Party.
Okay, Robert.
He has an outstanding record for attendance. He's a new member of parliament. Yeah. And those are all the Roberts that come up. So let's click on Miller. Yes.
Okay. So go on to Robert Miller. Okay. Fantastic.
Yes, Mr. Miller.
St. Catherine South.
St. Catherine South. Okay.
Yeah.
And what you have right under his name are bits of information that we thought were important for citizens to know about a parliamentarian. What's the history in the House? Which committees they sit on, meaning how are they representing? A little bit about any civic activities, volunteerism, how they contribute outside of the House, and their profession. But right under the photo is where the magic happens. Those are the contact data from social media, email, Facebook, and Twitter, where the office simply is. I mean, Silburn, think about it. We don't know. And for those who don't know, the taxpayers send $250,000 to 63 constituencies every month.
Yes.
Jamaicans don't know where they are, Silburn. So you see the accountability issue already. Yeah?
Yes.
So a citizen goes in the phone and they put in Robert Miller. JAM's website will come up and they go, oh, I didn't know this exists. And you begin to see the accountability metrics we're talking about. Now let's bear in mind as we look at this.
Okay, there we are. We just showed a little bit of what the discussion that I had with Jeanette Calder last week, Sunday night. And thank you for those on TikTok as well. You can go over onto the YouTube channel as well. I saw I'm supposed to be having a couple of guests tonight. There's lots of activities happening in Jamaica now. There's a demonstration, and I'm hoping to get representatives from Advocacy Network on tonight as well. I'm supposed to have Mr. Robert Stevens, the co-chair for Advocacy Network. But as I said, guys, I'm just actually drinking some juice punch, some punch here. Actually, what are you drinking, Mr. Robert Stevens? If you are there, grab a drink and let me see what you're going to be drinking tonight. and anyone else, let me know what you're thinking. But I'm going to bring in Mr. Robert Stevens. Mr. Robert Stevens is going to sort of set out where we are at now, because as I said, it is very interesting to find out that Jamaica is dynamic. So many things are happening at the same time. Stacey Thompson, she's having coconut water. People are breaking through, and positive. But I'm going to bring in Mr. Robert Stevens so I don't keep him too long as well. Mr. Stevens, good afternoon. How are you, sir? Let's see if I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me now?
I can hear you very clear, loud and direct.
I don't seem to be hearing you, but
oh, you can't hear me. Okay, you can't hear me. Okay, what can I say now? Let me I'm going to give you a call. Let me see if I can give you a call as well. I'm going to play something. I'm going to try to give Mr. Stevens a call.
I'm not hearing you.
That's all right. That's okay. Rosemary, I'll give Mr. Stevens a call. Robert Stevens. Don't worry. I can get that sorted. What I'll do, I'll play in the meantime a couple, the same video which I was playing earlier. And I go back to Mr. Stevens. This is the one which I'm circling. House of
Representatives every Tuesday at 10 o'clock. By PDTJ. Now you get black circles because he was not an MP. JAM always looks 5 years back, so you can get a good sense of the trends.
Okay.
So the 2 years that he has been an MP that we have data for, as you can see, it's an outstanding record on the part of.
So he's a good guy. He deserves the money then.
For attendance. if we're grading only on attendance, absolutely.
Okay.
It's on the PAC, which is the most important committee looking on the things that go wrong in government that Parliament needs to fix. So let's quickly take a look at the middle tab. Another thing is that parliamentarians are responsible for the development of the constituency. So the CDF in the middle there.
CDF. Click on that. Yes.
Each constituency is allocated $20 million. Now,
right,
Mr. Miller has to sit with his constituents and talk to them about how we're gonna use the money.
Yes.
So for the last two at the end, you can see he missed one meeting the first year, but he was present for the second year.
So question, if he missed the 2020, 2021,
Right.
he did not get any money.
Well, I'm happy you asked. The policy.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so I'm trying to get Mr. Stevens to come back into the show there. So bear with me for a second and let me just let's see if he's back. Let's bear with me for a second.
No.
Hi, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Fantastic. That's good. Sometimes it's a little trick sometimes. Yeah, we have to work with the network which is presented to us. How are you, sir? I understand that you're in Runaway Bay.
Yeah, I'm actually in Runaway Bay right now.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm from Ochurius, I'm in Ochurius.
Okay.
No, I'm not in Ochurius, but I'm from Ochurius.
All right.
Yeah, good. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Robert Stephen is the co-chair of Advocacy Network. Am I correct? Co-chairman for Advocates Network.
That's right.
Yeah. And tonight, the show, what I wanted to talk about was where are we now? Because when I got and learned about Advocacy Network a couple of weeks ago, it was regarding the Republic and the whole discussion regarding the Republic and the 14 persons there. And I had Miss Rosalie Hamilton. We're all talking about the Republic. And then things shifted to the salary, where the government is now giving themselves such, and there's this rollback campaign which is going on. And I was saying, I wonder if one is actually taking precedence over another, or you guys are actually balancing it out. So where are we now with both of them? If you can give a snippet, sir.
Well, we are insisting that the way that the whole salary increase issue was handled was reflective of a continuation of a major gap between the haves and the have-nots in the country.
Yes.
And we just feel that it's totally unfair for one set of workers to be essentially given an ultimatum that they need to sign off on everything by the end of March. And then by the middle of May, you are now giving politicians increases in the range of 200%, when originally what you are saying to the rank and file in the civil service was that you couldn't afford more than between 20 and 30% max. Yes. So it really doesn't smell good. That's one. Two is the fact that we really believe that this type of decision should not be something that is just almost foisted on the nation by the leaders. We need to have some proper rational approach to the compensation packages that are paid to politicians. And there needs to be some checks and balances. There need to be, for instance, an understanding of what is expected of them. And if they perform, they get salary increases. But if they don't perform, we can recall them. The way that it's handled now is very it doesn't smell of anything that is related to their performance. Okay. And we have been promised for years now that we're going to get job descriptions and criteria for the assessment of various politicians. And to date, we have not received it. So we are asking for that. On the other side, we are believing that it is necessary for us to change our constitution to address issues like this. And we are therefore moving towards opening up the conversations about the new constitution to a wider cross-section of people.
Yes.
We're now in discussion with the debates commission to be able to organize debates at the high school level, at the university level, at the youth group level, where we can get the youngsters in the country talking about what they would like to see in a new constitution.
Yes.
And what we're seeking is support from not just the government, but from the private sector to be able to finance the undertaking of these debates over the next few months. So that is being put together as we speak, and we'd like to roll that out as soon as possible.
That's very interesting. And what I pick up from what you said now is that even though it is two separate issues, but they actually they relate. They interrelate at the same time. Because
Absolutely, they do.
you mentioned about the constitution there, which affect what will happen in the bigger picture and the scheme of things.
Yeah, well, the future is going to be decided to a large extent regarding our governance, our way of managing our economy and our country by a new constitution. And to simplify it to just be, rejecting the king or deciding that we are no longer going to have a governor general is really simplifying it to the point where we feel that that is not, it's important, but it's not as important as looking at some of the deeper issues.
Mm.
The whole question of, being able to determine what are the things that we're going to be focusing on. How are we going to judge people in terms of their performance? And it's important for us to set up systems so that this type of situation where politicians essentially can give themselves increases overnight is not repeated. And we
Yeah.
have situations in the future where there's a more measured and properly assessed situation with respect to the performance of people who are running our country.
Mm. And how do you see I like what you mentioned about the going into the school. Isn't this what we're talking about from a long time about civics in a way?
Yeah, but
Getting,
civics is one side of the story.
mm,
I mean, we need to get our young people far more involved in discussions about the political as well as economic and social future of our country.
yes,
We have a situation now where Jamaica is regarded as one of the countries in the world that has the highest gap between the haves and the have-nots.
mm,
Is that something that we want to be proud of? No. I think we need to begin to recognize that there needs to be a much more equitable distribution of income and wealth throughout the society.
yes, sir.
We have focused a lot of attention on the tourism industry, for instance. And in doing so, what we do is we give away basically our best beaches and our best properties to foreign investors.
Mm,
And you get these lovely developments of fabulous hotels and lawns and golf courses and everything on the coast. But across the road, you have people living in slums. And there are no services for them. The water, the sewage, the roads, the drainage, etc., is very substandard. And
right.
90% of the people who work in the hotels live in these communities. Now,
Yes,
we've got to redesign the way we do development to be more sustainable and to be more conscious of what development is all about. Development is about the development of our people, not development of foreign investors' pockets to the detriment of our people.
so it's
That's
like
that's that's a critical
mm,
thing.
so it's like two type of Jamaica, two different angles of Jamaica we're talking about.
Precisely. And what we need to do is begin to think about how we can have leaders that are going to be not just talking or promising, but are going to be genuinely looking out for the people of the country to be developing. We are sitting now in a situation where
Mm,
over $200 billion is in the housing trust. And we're talking about building new homes. Last year, it was just a few thousand homes that they built. Fact is, there are several people living in squatter settlements and slums that are
Yeah.
being neglected. Reality is, what we should be looking at is how can we give them some security of tenure? Because there's no way you're going to move 900,000 people approximately out of these squatter settlements. What you need to do is look at ways that you can empower them. How are you going to bring them into the system? How are you going to give them security of tenure so they can fix up their homes and feel proud of themselves? And that is something that has worked in Jamaica before, and it's worked in many other countries throughout the world. I have done work with the World Bank
Yeah.
where we have done projects like that in Accra and in Nigeria and other places where it works fabulously. It needs to be done. And we were one of the first in the world, you know. We had a program of reconstruction of our slum areas as well as the site and services developments and all that back in the 70s. And we were one of the leaders in the world. What has happened is that we have neglected some of those early initiatives, and we have gone back to trying to build so-called cheap houses for the majority of our people. It will never work.
One of the things that I always talk about is, and we always use this as a sort of base. We go back to Singapore a lot, and we say we're on that level there. But somehow I believe, can we keep using that base anymore, because we missed that mark? And we're also talking about 2030 for Jamaica to be a full-fledged developed country. What's your talk? What's your take on those two different angles there? The base of Singapore,
Unless
2030.
unless we begin to seriously address the inequities in our society, we're not going to achieve true first world status. What you will have is a continuation of a situation where there are the haves at the top who are fine and dandy and enjoying themselves and really taken care of. But
Yeah.
the people at the bottom and the people in the middle are suffering and are not able to really properly participate in the so-called riches of the country. Now, this country has the potential to be one of the richest in the world, not because of the fact that we have gold or we have some, precious metals, but because of the fact that we have one of the most beautiful countries in the world. And we have some of the most creative and beautiful people. Our culture is one of the things that separates Jamaica from the rest of the world. The way we talk, the way we walk, our music, our food, everything. People want to associate with that, and the way that we treat life and people and all that. But what has happened is that a lot of other countries have adopted our music, our food, our styles, and have made millions out of it. We don't even have a proper venue that is set up in Jamaica for a proper reggae event. We are still struggling with the fact that our culture is not regarded as something that is marketable to the extent where we have visitors coming here from Japan and Far East and Middle East and all over the world. But guess what? The facilities that are established are not being properly upgraded and maintained. And that is something where we have to find ways to invest in. I'm not saying that all of this needs to be done by government. Don't misunderstand. I think it requires also understanding by the private sector that these are areas that are going to be able to generate income, and on top of that, provide good livings for many of the people who are artists and entertainers and people who are in the creative industries. Okay?
Yes, sir. Now, okay, so I don't know. You said you had a short time, isn't it, Mr. Stevens? Where are we now regarding the salary bit and the demonstration? Is there a breakthrough? Is that you believe the government is going to roll it back, or is it going to be a little bit more than a 9-day wonder?
I really must tell you, I don't know, but I think the government is going on a wrong path where they ignore the reaching out and also the voices of the majority of the people who are aggrieved, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay? I think that putting a situation in front of the people where a few weeks ago they were told, look, this is as much as we can afford, otherwise it's going to blow the whole economic
Part.
policy and plan and
Mm.
program and whatever. So by the 31st of March, you have got to make a decision and accept what we're offering. And then a few weeks later, you come out and you say, hey, all of the top echelons in the public
Mm.
sector have been given massive increases, the majority of them in excess of 100%. And by the
Mm.
way, the politicians have been given even more. And
Mm.
furthermore, somebody like the governor general, we're talking about, ditching the king and moving towards becoming a republic. And at the same time, you announce that you're increasing the salary of the governor general from 12 million,
Mm.
which is about a year and a half ago, to now move in 2024 to 32 million, which, it kind of just throws in your face the fact that there is no concern for whether it looks bad or not. Oh,
Mm.
forget, you know. And we as a people are willing to suck up all of this and just go on as if nothing is really, nothing has changed. It's life as usual. Let us continue with our lives and forget about the whole situation with respect to these salary increases. I don't think that's the right approach, but
Yes.
I'm not in parliament.
Yes.
And I can't make those decisions. But it smells to me that the parliamentarians are neglecting what the people are crying for. And it really is that the people are crying for more equity
Yes.
and more balance.
Mm.
And there seems to be almost a rush to try to extract as much for the top echelons as possible
Yeah.
in the shortest possible time. And that is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I'm gonna let you go. There's two rushes which I saw. One rush is the rush to become a republic, like they had to get this thing done quick, and this rush again. And is it like what I'm picking up and I'm sensing this, even though I'm overseas in London here? People sometimes say, "Why that Jamaica shut him out?" But I sense this and I pick this up that somehow there's a total disconnect with the people and the government in some respect. I sense that, and this is from where I'm looking, and from sitting. What's your take on that? And how is Advocacy Network bridging the gap? I told Rosemary Binder a while ago that she said you are from Advocacy Network, Rosalie from Advocacy Network, and I said to her, I'm also from Advocacy Network, even though I said to send me my membership. But can you break down that disconnect there, and how do we bring the people to with the Advocacy Network so they can actually play a part?
Let me tell you something. The
Mm.
biggest problem we have is that we're picking up a level of arrogance
Mm.
that is born out of a situation where a government has 49 seats out of 63. So the opposition only has 14. However, it needs to be understood that that 49 seat gap to 14 was born out of only 37% of the people in the country voting. In other words, of those eligible to vote, 63%
Mm.
stayed away from the polls.
Yes.
And what you had was a 20, I think it's a 21 to 16 or 20 to 17% gap between the JLP and the PNP.
Mm.
So it's really a situation where power has gone to the head of the government in charge, believing that because they have a 49 seat majority, they
Mm.
can do anything and they can get away with it. It reminds me of the days when Trump said, look, I can shoot a cannon down
I
a
still win.
main street and nothing will happen because,
Mm.
I'm in charge kind of attitude. And it smacks of arrogance that is really disturbing because, in addition to things like that, we hear our prime minister talking about the fact that maybe we should follow the example of El Salvador, which to a large extent is a state that is now a police state. Now, if that is where we're going, I can tell you that is not the right path.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is we need to have a lot more checks and balances of the arrogance of government, if you will, to be able to ensure that we have a caring and a seriously interested government in making sure that our people not only develop, but have sustainable development, where it
Yeah.
is spread across the board and is not limited to just a few at the top.
Yes, and persons on TikTok is saying, indeed, speaker. Someone said exactly as well. So I think the greatest challenge, what I'm seeing, is to ensure that the people somehow, their voices are heard. My view, in a way, which I say it sometimes, is my layman view, is that when there's a disconnect with the people and the government is not hearing, it's like that movie called Green Mile when there's a dead man walking. I mean to say that you're actually, you lost the people, you lost the heart, and really and truly it's just a matter of time if they don't hear, because somehow the sound of the people is very loud. And I trust as well that they roll it back. And as the PNP actually has come out and now saying, just roll it back, let's start afresh and look at it again. Is that your position? Let's start afresh, let's look back again. Get Jamp was on my show recently, Miss Jenna Carla. She set out the checks, how you can check your MPs, and accountability, the transparency, and the job descriptions, as you said, Mr. Stevens.
Well, the point is this, that I think the PNP is beginning to come around to our view,
Yeah.
which is that, this whole thing needs to be reset. And in addition to that, we are very strong on the fact that clearly talking about arriving at a bill to go to Parliament by the end of May, that is this month, and rushing through a new constitution in a phased way where they have decided what phase one is, and phase one is extremely limited, in our opinion, is not the right approach.
Right.
We believe that we need to take some more time. Number one, we have felt out the nation in terms of the young people and all that. The fact is, most young people do not even understand what is in the Constitution. So we have a serious education gap. You cannot talk about the fact that, look, we studied this in the 70s, we studied it in the 90s, we studied it again in the early 2000s, and it has been studied forever. Therefore, we're going to take all those previous studies and we're going to implement things now. That, to me, is leaving a whole set of people who have been born between 1990, let us say, and 2023, who have not been involved in these debates and in these discussions. And what we are saying is that we need to involve them. We are therefore not just asking the private sector, but the government to side with us in terms of opening up debates at the youth level, the high schools, the universities, and the youth groups, island-wide, to get involved in discussing what we all, and in particular our youth, would like in a new constitution for Jamaica.
Fantastic. Well, I want to let you know that your co-chair is here, Miss Rosalie Hamilton. She's actually live. You're sitting and she's on the ground.
Yes, she's out there. She's a champion on the ground. Very good.
How are you, Sylvan?
Yeah, I'm not bad, Miss Hamilton.
You're
Thank
good?
you so much. Yes, I can see the live audience out there.
Yes, yes.
Demo-
Let me step away so you can see everybody.
Okay.
Fabulous.
So we're
fabulous.
kind of having a teaching. We
Yes.
decided that we will talk to each other and deepen our understanding of our different experiences. So we're hoping we can share some of those experiences with you.
Yes.
So I don't know if you want me to kind of.
Yeah, you can do that. Mr. Stevens, are you okay? Or you want to go? It's
No,
up to you.
I'm good.
Mr.
No,
Stevens.
I'll go. I'm going to leave Rosalie and the group on the ground to educate the world. Okay. Thank you very much. All
Okay.
right, all the best, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thank you.
So Christoph is working right now with the speaker, but
Yeah.
we've managed to get a young group of Jamaicans, and some of them very young, and they are very concerned about their future and what's happening, and so they are speaking as well. So as soon as he wraps up, we'll just
Yeah.
keep talking, and you can hear. Do you have
And
any questions, or
you're at Emancipation Park, yes? That's where you are.
Yes, we're at
Emancipation Park.
Emancipation Park,
Yeah.
and
Okay. Okay. Lester, I brought you in because I know that there might be difficulties in the link there. How are you, boss?
are you still there?
I'm great.
Are you
Okay.
still there? Yes.
Yes, I'm still there. I'm with Lester.
You know we're not ease up, right?
Yeah. I know
So
there could be a Wi-Fi issue there, but that's all right still.
you what?
I know there can be Wi-Fi issues as we got disconnected, but that's okay
Yes,
anyhow.
yes. All right.
So,
So I'm gonna see if I can get the volume up a little louder
yeah,
so that we can hear you. But can you hear me okay?
I can hear you clearly. Lester,
All
you
right.
can hear as well, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. All right, so I'll get closer to the next speaker,
Yes.
and then at that point we'll just hear, especially from the youngsters,
Yes.
as to why they're here and the issues that they're putting on the table.
Mm,
All
yeah.
right. So
I listen, yeah.
maybe I'll just give you a little piece of what the
Please.
gentleman is saying. All right, let me get
Okay.
closer.
Thank you.
Barclays Bank evolved and became NCB. That is how intergenerational wealth works. Now the enslaved people got nothing. So that intergenerational property is still with us today. This is why more than half of our population are homeless. This must be addressed and we must reverse that. When the constitution comes up for reform, constitutional reform, land must be a very serious issue in it, where every Jamaican should own a plot of land. If that.
All right, thank you very much.
Yes.
The
And
next-
who's that gentleman that was talking?
Yes, and he'll introduce himself
Yes.
while the other person gets up. Just give us your name and which organization you're with.
I'm Heru Aishaka Musa Menelek, and I'm with the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party.
Okay.
Fantastic.
So you
Lester, you got anything? I got
Go
Lester here. Lester is here on the show as well. Colleague of mine.
Hi, Lester.
Hello, Miss Hamilton.
How
Nice
are you?
meeting you. I'm wonderful.
Go ahead. I'm not hearing so well, but go ahead. I'm hearing you.
I said I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Just
Good.
observe the activities
Good.
here.
All right. All right. You want to hear the other young man speaking? This
Yeah,
is
let me hear the.
Christoph Simpson.
Okay, let me hear just.
And these are working people that have to live in these conditions. Now, think about the salaries that we need to be able to afford to rent our mortgages in Kingston. Minimum wage can afford that. How can we be getting such a low minimum wage compared to other countries in the region, and the politicians want to be the highest paid politicians in the region? It don't make sense. We have to call them to roll it back. And if they're not working in our interest, we've gotten independence. We're supposed to be using this so-called independence and this move to a republic to transition away from colonialism. But it is very clear from an issue affecting all of us now, which is housing. It is very clear that we haven't tackled the problems that colonialism has left us with. So what are these politicians really doing? Andrew has called himself a nationalist for his reasons for taking some anti-cargo stances in the past. What kind of nationalist leader doesn't move away from colonialism? If always following back to America and Britain, he's not an anti-colonial leader. We need politicians that serve us instead of politicians that serve both rich foreigners and rich local white people. That is what we need. If they're not doing that, we cannot be paying them.
All right. All right.
Can I speak to that young man there?
Yes, we're going to introduce you to him.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
While the other person comes up.
Okay.
Come, Christoph. Yes. Here, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Christoph,
How are you, sir?
Press
How
Secretary
are
and
you?
Good.
Good. I'm in the UK here and just listening to you, and it's so very crucial for the young people to speak up. What is the essence of your view in a combination of the republic or the new constitution and also the salaries? What is your key message? The key message that you have, sir.
We don't have a government that serves us, and we need a government that serves us. We have a government that's modeled on a foreign colonial import. The politicians that are there now serve foreign colonial powers. They don't serve us. We have now the government wants to reform the constitution in its own interests, which is something I could elaborate on if you want. It's
Yeah.
not really in the interest of moving to a republic. That is something they made it clear they didn't have that much interest in when they referred to Barbados transition as empty symbolism. So um, we don't trust their intentions with reformation of the constitution. But while they are pushing to reform the constitution, it gives us an opportunity to call for things that we want to see, because they still depend on our vote to get this constitution passed. And when I say our, I don't mean my organization that have less than 200 people, and I don't just mean any particular group or network. I mean even the Jamaica Council of Churches, all the labor unions in the country. They require their votes, and if the politicians are upsetting these people, they can't expect to get them to listen to them or to trust their interests or their proposals. The real reason they want to change the constitution is to make it easier to do and extend states of emergency, which basically is militarization of working class communities. So it was shortly before that they said transition to a republic is empty symbolism, but shortly after they failed to extend a state of emergency without consent of the opposition, they decided they want to reform the constitution.
Yeah.
Now, the salary increase is a slap in the face. They have claimed that they're going to have job descriptions and that they come in with a whole bunch of stuff that would help us to hold politicians more accountable. And that was promised from around 2016. It's 2023 and they still haven't delivered on that. And they triple their salaries overnight. We can't accept that.
Yeah. And what is your organization?
Lands. It's a socialist movement. It's a network of 9 different groups.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been saying is that with so many different advocacy group in Jamaica and different organizations, if we can, I hope that Rosalie and the team and Jam will pull something together that we can see how they all connect. Rosalie?
Yes, absolutely.
That's an effort
In
of the
fact, we are pulling people together, but I want to pause and just have you
Yes.
hear the experience of a civil
Yes.
servant who joined us,
Yes.
and he's now speaking about his experience.
Okay, thank you.
For the
Thank you.
public sector transformation, where the public sector transformation is concerned, what was done is that the scales and levels that were previously being used to rank public sector workers, it was changed. So if you can recall, Minister Nigel Clark went in Parliament with a high stack of documents saying that these are the different levels of workers that we have to negotiate for, and it's very confused and it's very difficult. So what they've done is they reduce the amount of levels. I don't want to make this confusing because I'm not using the right technical jargons. But what they have done is to reduce the amount of different tools. When they use the word levels here. What they did also was that in terms of each job title that you have, there were several different increments. So you starting from increment 1, you can go to increment 7 or perhaps about 10. They have made a change there where they have moved it from 7 levels of increment to about 16. Public sector workers were asked to get paid between we're not asked, we were forced to go between level increments, incremental levels of between 1 and 4. So if you were working in a public sector organization and you reached to level 7 in terms of the increment that you were receiving, they put you all the way back to level 2. So that was a significant cut in your salary. Along with that, there's a law that was here from some 30 years ago, which gave politicians
or I should say ministers, a pay which is 50 something dollars above the highest scale that the permanent secretary could be in. Now, what had happened is that no reform, no transformation was done for that aspect of the law. So all public sector workers were forced back to level 4, 3, 2, and 1, while the politicians are currently, or in this case, I should say ministers, are getting paid at 50 something dollar above the highest level, incremental level that the permanent secretary is getting. I am asking for them to either restructure that aspect of their agreement where they are now seen somewhere in the middle. That would be somewhere a little bit more realistic. Or just as most public sector workers that we were forced to go between incremental levels 1 to 4, they themselves should also be forced back to somewhere between 1 and 4, just like all public sector workers. Otherwise, public sector workers should remain where they were before in their incremental levels. Now, this was something that was shoved down our throats. The unions, they were forced to sign the documents. No one get up and sign them willingly. And apart from that, some union presidents, they were they were off a bribe. If you take a look at JTA, for example, I can't say for this current JTA president, but look at the past presidents at JTA. All of them, when they leave from being president at JTA, they get a better school to be principal of, which will give them better salary. So this is an indication to show you that these persons are getting bribed. See Jamaica Civil Service Association, for example, the president, Mr. O'Neill Grant, he's now being offered a job as parliamentary secretary, right? So these are some of the bribes that they give some of these persons who are negotiating on the public sector and right, persons working in the public sector behalf, for them to get better paid job and turn their back against the public sector workers. But as I said, I am here in solidarity with your movement, and whatever I can do, support it, I definitely. I could also ask, in terms of ministers and the prime minister, how much of their salary is going for, back to tax? How much of their salary are they paying as tax?
All right. So
Okay.
I just want to just say that there were some state allegations made
Yes.
that,
Yes.
we want to be
Yes.
clear that we're not
Yes.
necessarily
Yes.
associated with. We
Yes.
don't have the
Yes.
facts. But you
Yes.
get an idea of what
Mm.
some of the public servants feel,
Yes.
and they're upset is explaining the salary scales and the implication of the
Yes.
scales. And
Yes.
so part of the conversation we're having is that the the ministers and the MPs ought not to be saddled at they ought not, their pay ought not to start at the highest level of the permanent salary. That's
Yeah.
a big issue, and he was trying to communicate that if you brought it down to even pegging it at the middle or somewhere
Yes.
close to the bottom, he's saying at the bottom because they were all brought back down according to him,
Yes.
then that would be a little bit fairer. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of room to renegotiate this arrangement, to look again at the arrangement and to agree on something that's more fair. And
Yeah.
that's really where we are. That's the dialogue and discussion I'm hoping we're going to have coming out of all of this. But I think there is room for some more fairness. Now,
Okay. Yeah.
there's a young lady who spoke earlier, so I don't
Yeah.
know if you want to speak to her quickly.
Before you do that, let's say you want to say anything. Okay. Let's speak to the young lady. Okay. Hi. Hi. Hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Not bad. Not bad. It's great always listening to the young people. What's your take on the whole issue?
Well, I'm very displeased or beyond displeased with the increase of government members' salaries, seeing as they haven't done the work to reflect the need for an increase. They haven't really been working at all because most of these legislators or ministers have not been implementing laws, amending laws for the betterment of the people of Jamaica. Because
Yes.
most of the laws that have been implemented were things that benefited the private sector, which are the companies, such as with the Companies Act, which was amended during the pandemic, um, as well as things like Dangerous Dogs Act, which was to, I guess, limit liability regarding
Yes.
injuries and deaths.
Yes.
And there's so many things as that needs to be amended from the obvious that the Domestic Violence Act that have been needed amendment or a new act implemented for how long,
Yeah.
but it has not been attended to. And these are pressing matters. And even with in the last, when they amend the constitution and uh, replace the chapter 3 regarding the fundamental rights and freedoms, and they replace it with the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms Act amendments in 2011. It was quite limited, and they further enshrined discrimination against most of the people of Jamaica as well as vulnerable groups. So they're not earning their keep. They rarely attend Parliament. And when they do attend, it's very late or not in full numbers. So they're not earning the gift. So they don't deserve the increases.
So what you're saying then is that definitely there's a groundswell in the nation for a revamping of how things are.
Yes,
Rolling it back and then start again and to look at it.
rolling it back and fixing or starting or implementing new things, because it has been very subpar for so long.
Yeah. And with the young people that you're speaking to, what is it, the general mood? Have you got dissenting voices, or are they all in agreement in a way?
Most young people seem to be in agreement with rolling back of these salary increases,
Yes.
but some might be afraid to talk, especially if they work for certain organizations or in public sector, because although we have freedom of speech, there is still um, there. It's not necessarily like that in some cases.
I keep hearing motions are things around freedom of expression in Jamaica a lot. It's keep coming up a lot. Like people are scared of speaking up on
People are
things.
scared of speaking up because there have been instances where people spoke out against the government, be it certain ministers or the prime minister, and then in the middle of the night, dead of night, police and soldiers come and scrape them up, uh, and
But,
throw
don't-
them in the back
but
of a
down,
gun.
put down those are ones that are threatening, making threats or threats. Like
Sorry?
and those the ones that are making threats to harm the government or harm the prime minister.
Um,
Unlike, yeah.
there, to my knowledge, there have not been that many threats,
Mm.
and to my knowledge, that is, and I think most of it is said more in in the heat of the moment. Not saying
Yeah.
that they're not legitimate concerns
Yes.
or thing, but I think it's more like in the heat of the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
we have
Well, thank you
another
so much.
young
Yeah.
man who just spoke and he wants to say a few words. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Great.
All right,
How are you,
good
sir?
afternoon. All right, so out here we're protests are
You look
complaining
like
about
you,
the
you look like you look like
200%.
Damian. You look like Damian Crawford. Is that Damian Crawford?
No, that is not Damian Crawford. Not Damian Crawford. No, no, no.
I was
All
teasing
right.
you.
So I'm a young economist. So the 200% increase it is a gross disrespect to the Jamaican people. You had
Mm.
doctors, nurses, teachers, they had to be complaining and protesting for months in order to get a measly 20% increase, right? And you have Robert Nesta Morgan. He's going to try to argue that the doctors got a 200% increase. But what he's doing is he's playing games with people. So what
Mm.
he did was they rolled the doctors' usual benefits into their no salary. So benefits that were once not being taxed are now being taxed, right? So your gross salary would seem to get a 200% or more about that increase, right? But because a bulk of that is now being taxed, that means that your net salary is now going to be less. Now
Yeah.
these are doctors, right? Who doctors don't even get health insurance. So when them sick, them have to pay for them own health care. The doctors who are keep the people them alive, right? You
Yeah.
have teachers and nurses who were protesting right? And you had members of parliament tell them, so well, if you're not unhappy, you can go overseas. So why Andrew Holness then forget him and him friend them a 200% increase when there are so many other issues that needs to be addressed in the country, right? Or complain about schools or teachers needing money, them tell them don't have the money. So how all of a sudden them find the money to give all of them friends a 200% increase in salary when we don't see what they are doing to justify this
Can,
200% increase? What was that?
can I ask a question? What percent of the budget was this increase for the parliamentarians?
Oh,
Oh,
sorry. Well,
our,
again,
our connection.
yeah, we'll come back. Yeah. What percentage? So you're saying what percentage?
What percent of the budget was this parliamentary increase?
So for
Okay, they're having a problem there. We might not be able to stay too long with them anyhow. Still, and then let's say we can talk about some of the feedback that we're getting from the street out there in Jamaica at present at Emancipation Park, where people are actually um, demonstrating. What's your take on let's say some of the feedback from people at the demonstration?
A lot of emotions,
Mm,
and rightly so. Persons have a right to express themselves.
yeah.
Um, but there's a lot of things that is not
Wait,
fully understood.
we
Well,
lost you just now.
so let me just speak. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
sorry, we're back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
I can hear you. I can hear you clearly.
yeah, so we're saying this 200% increase, it don't make no sense, right? We don't, there is a lack of transparency, so we don't even know if this 200% increase includes benefits, which is what they did to the doctors. So they're trying to justify that the doctors got a huge increase, when in reality, their net increase is actually much less, right? Because they roll the benefits for the doctors into the doctor's new salary, and then these new benefits that were once untaxed are now being taxed. So the doctors, in some doctors or some nurses are actually taking home less than they were before, right? And then we have the teachers who were struggling throughout COVID, who had to be using get their own devices. Some would provide devices to their students, right? And they would have to be using their own electricity at home to teach students. And they told these teachers that, well, if you're unhappy, you should leave the country. So I think these members of parliament and Andrew, they should take they're unhappy with the pay.
Okay. Yeah. Without a doubt, Lester. Go
You
ahead
receive
with.
what your international counterpart would receive. So
Mm,
it is a stupid justification to want to say, well, others in the region and others international, this is what they get. So we want to put our salary close to it. Then put the teacher's salary close to what teachers in the US or the UK are making then.
mm.
All
Okay.
right.
All right. Well, thank you for that. It's good to hear in the different voices and
You.
feedback from people.
All
Um,
right.
Professor,
Yes.
I'm gonna let you go because we have a Wi-Fi issue most few times.
All right.
Um,
Great.
sorry, Lester, I want to say something to you. Go ahead, Lester.
Sure.
Ms. Hamilton, I would like for you to if you can get these 3 or 4 speakers that spoke to us, we'd love to have them on the show that we can sit down and have some discussion on the show. In a enclosed, a controlled environment where we can have discussion.
Sure. All right.
Yeah.
Well, the conversation continues. As you can see,
Yeah.
we're still having the discussion. People are just sharing their views and using
Yes.
this occasion to do that. So
And,
we'll keep doing it
How
on
many
evening.
yeah. Lester, you're saying?
About how many persons are there, Ms. Hamilton?
We have about 30 or so persons. Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people came and some people left.
Yeah.
A lot of people have joined advocacy.
Yeah. How was my next question to her is how was the sit down? How was the sit down, the lunch specials over the week?
Yes, that went very well. That was a lively, robust crowd,
Yeah.
very noisy. This is a group of more reflective young people who are thoughtful and wanted to just use the time to engage dialogue. And
Yeah.
so that's what they're doing here. It's a kind of teaching, we're sharing experience, talking about the Constitution, why this is important. So we're using the occasion to gather and to
learn from each other. And
So
that's really
therefore,
what is happening.
just like Mr. Robert Stevens was saying, is that the Republic discussion and the salary bit, they're all interconnect. They're all connected, not
Yes,
like separate and apart. Because I was thinking that would one actually take precedence over the other,
of
but you're
course.
all in the world. And the last one, how is the Republic bit going on? Is there now a video in the room that you can see the 14? Is
Repeat the question.
is there a video now in the room that you can see the 14 persons in their deliberation?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Not yet happening to the best of my knowledge. The minutes were released.
Yes,
I think there was some reduction done there, but it's slow. And my hope is over time they would have heard this dissatisfaction of Jamaicans about the way and the approach
yeah.
of having these discussions behind closed doors.
Mm.
Yes, there may be some things that they may want to not have public for
Disclose.
whatever
Yeah,
reason, maybe preparatory stuff, whatever. But there must be some things, some discussions that they're having in the committee that can be made
yeah,
public. And I think that's not a very difficult thing
yes.
for them to do.
Yeah.
And it's not a
Some,
very difficult
yeah.
ask as well.
Somebody on TikTok just said the idea is to kill professionalisms, forcing them to migrate. Kill professionalism, giving a
Yes,
hard time on professional persons, and
yes,
you know, it
yes.
it it is such a heated topic, which is very emotional as well at
It
this
is.
time.
It is. I mean, if you think about it, actually, since emancipation, Jamaicans have been leaving Jamaica for a better life.
Mm,
There's just a reality that if you're born in a certain socioeconomic class, that you really the opportunities for social and economic progress is limited, and so
yes,
you leave.
yeah,
So that's the story of migration, and that's the story of the Jamaican diaspora.
yeah, yeah,
Now, um, it's difficult to conceive of the scale and pace of that migration after 60 years. We ought
yes,
to do more to retain, especially our young people. Young
yeah,
professionals are still leaving, searching for opportunities. And
yes,
so
yes,
there's something fundamentally wrong with how we're organized as a society. And I
yes,
think these issues are coming to the fore. And
yes,
this matter of salaries is just a trigger that gets us having this broader conversation about what's happening in our
yeah,
country and what needs to change.
yeah. Okay, well, listen, I want to thank you so much again, and we keep the link.
Thank you.
I was saying to Rosemary earlier that Lester is a part of Advocacy Network, and I'm also a part of Advocacy Network. All right, is that correct, Lester? Yeah.
Good. So I'm glad you're doing your share of the work. Everybody take a little piece. Every mickle make a muckle.
Every make a muckle. Well,
Right.
well,
And one
all the
poke a
best,
full
and
basket.
yeah, all the best, and do send some pictures through. Rosemary will get them through
I
um,
will.
as well. Okay.
All right, I will. All the
Thank
very
you.
best. Thank you. Good.
Thank you. Cheers.
All the
Bye.
best.
Bye. 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 Thank you, Miss Hamilton. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was Miss Rosemary Hamilton, Professor Rosemary Hamilton from Advocacy Network. Earlier, I had Mr. Robert Stephen, the co-chair of Advocacy Network. You can see the contact details running across where you can actually join in. I might be. It could be possible. I don't know. Rosemary, you can confirm if is Daniel is there somebody is I might have Daniel Archer from NIA National Integrity Action Jamaica. Lester, are you there? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What's your take on a review of the discussions where and for people on TikTok as well who has been very active. Thank you so much for joining as well. Yeah, what's your take on this?
Um,
Some of the
there's,
conversations.
there's a lot of things that was said that I disagree with. There's something that said that I agree with.
Yes.
And as you heard, some accusation of bribery and stuff like that. I mean,
Yes, I heard it as well. Yeah, and I just sort of
yeah. So we have to publicly say that this platform and yourself and myself
disassociate from those. Yeah.
from these comments.
Yes.
and I can go further in those persons who were former JTA president, but I won't do that. That's not necessary now.
Yes.
Um, but we have to be very careful also when we are disseminating information to the public over
Yes.
platforms like this. Very, very
Mm,
important.
mm.
Um, everything has a context. Everything has a
And,
context.
and I want to stop you right there. And that's one of the reasons why I've put out the request for Minister Nestor Morgan to come on the program, not for a banter, but more for him to speak and share. Because, as you rightly say, people will say many different things, and it's important that everybody says something that he has what he has to say as well. Carry on,
Yeah,
Lester. Yeah. Uh-huh.
yeah. So so everything has a context.
Mm.
Um, but there's just a list of things that was said from Mr. Stevenson to these
Young people.
vibrant and wonderful, colorful young people who were speaking. And we all embrace the right and freedom of speech
Mm.
in a respectful manner, in a lawful manner also. Very important lawful manner.
Mm.
'Cause being disrespectful is not illegal. But
Mm.
the thing that stands out is that I want when people are coming to the fore, right? And this is not like about the government against people. I'm talking about if you're speaking towards the general public, towards the population, you are to be a little bit more contextualized, be a little bit more balanced. Mr. Stevens said that there's over $200 billion sitting down in NHT, right? I mean, that's true, but it's not just sitting down there, right? There's a lot more programs available to the common man. There's a lot more programs available to everybody. Um, the NHT up to 2016 was building 1,500 houses per year. Since
Mm.
its inception, the highest it has been is 1,500 houses per year. Since 2016, since Andrew Holness took over, it has increased from 1,500 to 11,000 houses per year,
Mm.
right? Apart from that, you get loans for build on land, you get NHD refund every year, you get home improvement, plus the interest rates of mortgage keep getting lower and lower and lower, right? I think the highest percentage now is 4%,
Yes.
right? And that's a particular salary cap for
Yeah.
4%. So we have to be very inclusive in how we speak, and not just one way, because the government is not all bad and they're not all good, and the people are not all bad and not all good at the time. So we have to give context. The hotels, the hotels, um we have more local owned hotels that have beachfront property than overseas
Mm.
hotels. You know, and that's also contextual. We have to make sure that we provide these contexts. Um, I don't know about most of the slums that hotel workers live in these slums.
Yeah.
I interact with a lot of hotel workers, and I'm telling you, even before the increases, even for that, when you look at these homes that these young people that work in the hotel, and based on tips and based on even them salary, right? Especially if they work in an area where they get tips,
Yes.
these people are having nice homes. They're not having it's not a palace or a mansion, but they're
Yes.
not slums as is was represented earlier per se. Not saying that some don't live in underdeveloped areas. They do, just like all across Jamaica, right? But again, the representation has to be fair. You know,
So,
there's been a specific push for hotel workers to get
mm,
they're building houses now specifically for hotel workers and a special mortgage rates and stuff like that. These
yes.
things have to be presented also in
Yeah.
in our speech.
I think what is picked up, and I like to look at it this way, and you're right when you say the emotions is high. It is context, everything in context. Because the last week, the Miss Jeanette Calder, who was on the show, she broke it down in that website as to different MPs and how you can monitor the MPs. And she
Yeah,
she used a classic example where she said, and this is a era where there was some issues and Prime Minister Andrew Holness was on the commission to try to rectify it, and she said, and here is the email address. You can actually send a message to the Prime Minister, or let's forget the Prime Minister and just say the MP at that time or whatever, Andrew Holness, and say, well done. I mean to say that not all things, and I like to put it in the perspective, because sometimes, as you rightly say, one can demonizing the government to the point as if to say that nothing good out, like nothing good come out of Jamaica, you know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, which I'm going to talk about, the young man who went to space and put on his
Yeah. Yeah.
his thing, you know. So therefore, what really need to happen though? What really need to happen, I sense, is a strong push and a need for sitting down, the Prime Minister and the people, because I don't know about you, Lester, but and I don't know if you sense that, but it seems like there's a disconnect. And you always say sometimes the information is not getting out. Do you sense a
I tell,
disconnect?
I tell Robert that all the time.
Mm,
I've been telling Robert that, Robert, the Minister of Information.
mm,
But that's true. There needs to be swift dialogue. There needs to be concise dialogue.
yeah.
There needs to be open dialogue,
Yes.
and you have to, dialogue has to be that dialogue and not a monologue. Not you and a lot of sentiment that people that or just shove down your throat and stuff like that. And that's why I asked Miss Professor Hamilton to invite some of these speakers in the future so that we can have a dialogue, because something, that I have some information that happens, behind closed doors and stuff like that,
Mm.
where, I can say, hey, this is not what really happened, but A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and we can have a conversation around that.
Breaking it down. Yeah.
The thing is, when I look at that's why I specifically asked what are the numbers there. The outrage is on social media a lot, and a lot of the outrage is coming from the diaspora. The truth and in fact is it's less than 4% of the population that really uses total social media in Jamaica, right? And Jamaica is not even 50% saturated with internet. So there's a great part of Jamaica that don't even have internet access, So a lot of the outrage is coming from, the diaspora overseas and stuff like that.
What do you say about it? What do you think about that? When I hear it a lot sometimes, and I try to, and I've got to be careful sometimes when I go into issues sometimes, because I realize that there's also issues here in the UK. Like that's why my Thursdays I speak about what's happening in the UK, whereby a car went at number 10 Downing Street, and different issues with cost of living. Try to make sure that one is not so insulated or focused so much on Jamaica at the same time. But you said something a while ago, and let's touch on that one about the diaspora seem to be more interested and more attuned to it. Is it more attuned to it, or what are we talking about? Is it that diaspora shouldn't be too much interested? What is it? Is it because they're more attuned to social media?
It's the availability of access. So the persons in the diaspora have access 24 hours to internet.
Yes.
Persons in Jamaica on a mass scale don't have 24 hours to the internet access. And when they do, the little internet access that they do have, they use it for social interaction. It's not used for serious issues like this. So you'd find a very small portion of persons really utilize it for issues such as this. So most of the backlash is coming from the diaspora. And like I remember when the needs conversation came up with the national ID, the person talking about privacy and the biometrics and all of that, most of the heat came from overseas, where all of us, Silburn, you and I, our ID has biometric. But what I'm saying, it is very unfair to the people of Jamaica to be deprived of a solid ID, a ID that is not easily copied and stuff like that,
Yeah.
because we have this high incidence
Mm.
of scamming and fraud and identity theft in Jamaica, right? And so what we want is a proper identification system, proper social security number and stuff like that, where it cut out a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I don't know about the UK, but here in the Netherlands, if I'm going to transact certain business, once I give my ID, I don't need any other form of certification. I don't need a just throw the piece. I
Or
don't
link
need a,
or links you. It link you.
everything links in,
All right.
Uh,
Yeah.
so some of the things
Mm.
that we want to do. Um, the 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 need for correct information also,
Yes.
because
Yes.
people are getting all different type of information, but the correct information is also needed.
That is crucial, and I want to thank you, Veronica Tate. She said transparency is a key to any successful things or ideas. Miss Miles had mentioned earlier, they don't know the content of the constitution. More debates, more panel discussions in communities is necessary, and less so. Everything that I'm hearing, it boils back down into communication. You're correct on that, because we hear about things before the average people. Now, that is something which I even said. This is what Veronica Tate said. We hear about things, and you'll also hear about things in Jamaica before the average people. I used to hear, when my and I mentioned it with Janet Calder. Janet Calder was in Netherlands. I don't know if you heard that. She was in Netherlands, who was on the show last week Sunday. In my discussion with her, I said that I used to update my father back home sometimes with what going on Jamaica, and all I did was simply because I called him before 6 o'clock, because 6 o'clock he normally up and listening to the news and everything, and I get news sometime before him breaking. So Jamaicans overseas are very in tune to it, but doesn't, ladies and gentlemen, on the Instagram, what do you think about Jamaicans overseas more voicing views, discussions, dissenting in regards to the salaries, in regards to the republic, and even more than Jamaicans back home? What's your thoughts on that, Lester? But the Prime Minister is talking about making Jamaica a digital community. The Prime Minister is talking about lots of things, and making even communities. And I guess maybe that's what he's trying to rectify, making communities where they can have wireless. If Jamaica, as you alluded to, lots of people do not have access.
Yeah,
How is it
that
that he's setting the stage? He's setting the stage to bring in more infrastructure. Or
yes, it's going to be done in increments. I
yeah,
mean, people, I see people running with it, and they're crying out like, the house is on fire. No, it's not like that. It's not
yeah.
like at the end of the year, by December, we're gonna have
Everybody,
full. No, because Europe is not like that. You know, the funny thing is that the only continent that
yeah,
has mass digital transactions like that is Africa.
yes,
Only continent, and Asia, China, part of China and Japan. But in
yeah,
terms of mass, Africa, you know, um, based on what people are saying, this is going to take time, because there's a lot of people in Jamaica, right? Including my stepfather. 2023 is the first time my stepdad had uh, 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 the phone, a smartphone. They
mm,
have many people in Jamaica, right, still don't have a smartphone, and the Prime Minister is aware of these things. Um, so it's going to be in increment, because there's an infrastructure situation that has to be implemented first, because the infrastructure has to support the rollout of the implementation, and also there has to be a public information campaign to educate people on what is to come and stuff like that. What a lot of people don't understand, and the pushback with this digital thing, is that you have too many frauds, right? A
mm,
lot of countries, a lot of institutions do not want to do business with Jamaica, like the international transactions, right? Um, so it happened to me and my wife in time. We're trying to do business with Jamaica, where once you see certain transaction comes in, right, or certain numbers and stuff like that, it
yes,
it is blocked, it is stopped, the red tape, because people are afraid to do transaction with Jamaica. I cannot do transaction from the Netherlands with Jamaica National. Jamaica National, it is blocked here, right? I
Really?
can't do it online yes, so it is so there's a lot of other reasons behind certain things that we have to also understand, that we're trying to streamline certain things, that it is not a hindrance in doing
Yes.
business internationally.
Yeah. Well, I want to welcome Rosemary. Rosemary is all over there. None of all the way talk about Jamaica, and none of there Jamaica. Backside. She's in Germany. You're in Netherlands. I'm in London. We need
Can
to
you
get a
hear me?
Jamaican. We can hear you clearly. Is it right then what Lester said, that Jamaicans overseas more focus on Jamaica than Jamaicans back home?
Well,
Rosemary.
there. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much, Lester. Thank you, Silborn, for having me on.
Yeah.
There is a reason why we are interested in Jamaica. I can speak from my personal experience and from all of my other friends and families in the family in the diaspora. One of the things I know is that every single thing that happens in Jamaica has to concern me, because I've been away from Jamaica for a very long time, since I was 24 years old. And most of us Jamaicans are not millionaires. I can't even count on my hand. I can give you a list in a book of the many people in Jamaica that I'm still assisting. It's not that I'm able, because I'm in the diaspora, contrary to other persons, to be able to live this exclusive, very luxurious life. No, on a daily basis, many people, if I don't get a paycheck here in Germany, many people in Jamaica can't live. So I'm talking to you from a raw situation where it's not a luxury thing. It's a kid that you're helping with school. It's someone who you're paying for their sewing lessons because their families can't do it. I see this on a day-to-day basis and feel it. My mother, her pension can't even cover whatever. So these are the real things. So that's why when there is, and I would love to tell Lester that I think our government is doing a great job in many aspects. And we cannot feel that because we are criticizing on particular things that we don't think the government is doing a good job in other areas. However, when we can't find, and I can make a big list of things, Lester, as I'm sure you can, when we cannot find an x-ray machine to take care of a child who is in our biggest hospital in Kingston, and they have to wait. A friend of mine went last week, waited more than 4 hours. The child has asthma, to even be able to have the right stuff to take care of this child. And then we're giving each other increases in our paychecks. You guys, 214% to 300. It's clear. There are no lies there. It's criminal. It's criminal.
Rosie, I disagree with that, it being criminal, because guess what? One don't have to stop to let the other be a possibility. We don't have to prevent the government from getting a 200 or 300% increase in their salaries. The parliamentarian, not government, the parliamentarian. For us to have an X-ray machine, the two don't coincide. That because both can exist. Because
it can, but it doesn't. It can, but it doesn't. It's not. We're not capable of doing that in Jamaica at all. No. Lester, I beg to differ with you. I beg to differ with you. We are basically a poor country. Do you know that when a lot of our government officials, and I know because I see it, I used to be in the tourism industry. When a lot of our government officials travel abroad, they're not staying in the cheapest of hotels. Okay? So there is a disconnect with what we can afford and how we basically do not have the apathy or the feeling for our people. We're not seeing Jamaica as a Jamaica for all of us. There are people who are looking at only how they can profit, the kind of lifestyle that they can have, and they're only thinking of themselves. In all, I could never, as a human being, I could never think that I would be accepting of a certain pay scale. I am sorry, that's how I was brought up. Knowing that my neighbor knowing that children can't even have the basic necessities in many of our schools, to be able to have an education. I mean, come on, come on. And Lester, I love your points, but I'm gonna have to beg to differ, just like how you differed with some things that those young people said. And we have to be careful on this show not to condone things that are not fact. But I can tell you, when you say that there are more locals owning hotels in Jamaica than there are foreigners, you got to be careful with that statistic, because we're talking about hotel rooms, right? So the majority of the profit from hotel and or tourism, which is our number one thing in Jamaica, right? It's not coming to the people. Look at who is benefiting. Look at who is benefiting from our tourism. Unless we get tourism unless we get our local people in Jamaica to benefit from tourism and not tell tourists to be scared of Jamaicans and to go outside and to spread that dollar so everybody can benefit, then we won't get rid of crime.
Yeah.
Then we will forever be spending more money to try to market Jamaica to become more of a prison in those all-inclusives. I can't tell you, I'm from the hotel industry.
Yeah.
I studied hotel management. That's what I teach. I used to work for super clubs. I used to market Jamaica in the Midwest. I was one of the first sales managers representing Jamaica for Apple Vacations. I had the whole 14 states or 13 states of the Midwest at the time. I know what I'm talking about. And so that's what I'm saying. When you use those numbers, we're not benefiting at all. And think about, I remember going to Jamaica and saying, man, it would be so nice if our people on the street selling the coconuts or could just benefit. You think they would have to go steal and kill each other?
Let's hear Lester. But someone just said in regard to that point, someone on TikTok, I just cut and pasted here, that says the thing that affect people in Jamaica affect us as family members overseas. That's someone from TikTok mentioned that. That's relating to that point. They just want to share that. Lester, if you want to come back on, and I want to move on quickly from that because there are two points I wanted to flag up before we finish. Lester,
I understand and respect your experience and tenure in the hotel industry. What you're saying is 100% incorrect. When you say that the people don't benefit at all, that's an absolute Rosemary. Come on, we can't be so. No, hold on,
no, Rosemary, let him speak. Let him speak. That's Rosemary. He's got to speak.
You cut me off and I listen to you. That's an
I'm sorry.
No, absolutely you just stated, and that's not true. I have family members and friends in the hotel industry. I have friends who own hotels and stuff like that, right? I speak to these people on a regular basis. We have majority of persons who work in the hotel industry, right? And even on the fringe of the hotel industry, benefiting from it, right? The bus drivers, the tour operators, and all these persons are Jamaicans who benefit from the tourism industry. I understand what you're talking about in the wider communities and stuff like that. But you know what is happening that? We Jamaicans, my co-worker who works with me here in the Netherlands, there are several persons who want to visit Jamaica. And because I'm new at that place. And when they come to me and say, we want to visit Jamaica, but your brother is telling us this, that, I'm like, what? I have to go to him and say, why are you discouraging people from visit Jamaica? Why would you do that? It is us Jamaicans in the diaspora, especially in the diaspora, who discourage foreigners and discourage people from visiting Jamaica.
You sure that's not?
Yes, it is the hotels and persons who say, don't go out there. My doctor visited Jamaica 2021, and she was specifically told by everybody in the hotel, do not go outside in the grill. Do not go this way.
You mean Jamaicans in the hotel?
Jamaicans in the hotel telling her and other tourists, do not go out into the communities.
Okay, I thought you were talking about Jamaicans overseas saying to Jamaicans.
I'm saying it's also Jamaicans in the diaspora who give Jamaica a bad name. They've been doing it for decades. They say, "Oh Lord, because my brother lives in Miami, right? And he calls me, you want to go to Jamaica? This, that. I mean, I say, brother, when you're there in Jamaica, the crime affect you? No, you understand me? You don't see the crime. When I'm in Jamaica last year, big gold chain, I can send the pictures, me ring them and stuff like that. Nobody tried, and I went into Kingston. I went into all the garrisons and stuff like that. Nobody robbed me, right? So I'm saying we who are giving Jamaica a bad name, right? We don't try to push the positives, right? When I'm posting stuff on social media, I don't post fights, I don't post crime, I don't post these things. I try to post the better side of Jamaica.
Well, I post boost mode, walking in the park and say, he's a man from Ochim, he's an Ochim man. How does I push to Jamaica?
When I look at the large large overseas investment of hotels, most of their products that they use in the hotel, the food and stuff like that, and the furniture, most of them, not all of them, most of them are sourced locally. And I know a lot of farmers who have contract directly with hotels.
Yes.
And that they supply the hotel, making a good living. So Rose, I would like it to be a little bit more contextualized, a little bit more inclusive, because you said you have vast experience in the hotel industry. You have to express that side also.
Yes,
it's not perfect, but you have to express
I think I got Daniel Archer from the, Jamaica here. I'm going to see if I can get her in at the same time.
If I may just quickly apologize.
Keep talking.
Yes, may I quickly apologize to you. Yes, I'm sorry for interrupting. And secondly, when I say that Jamaicans don't benefit, I meant a lot of Jamaicans do not benefit. In terms of the profit that we make from tourism, they don't benefit like they should. Of course, I don't mean that all Jamaicans, just like how you say we in the diaspora, we don't, we talk negatively. It's not all of us. I take groups from Germany to Jamaica, and when I go to the places I go to, most Jamaicans won't go to. So I refuse to be afraid of taking people to enjoy my country, and in particular myself, going back to enjoy it. I understand your point, and I do apologize for you thinking that I meant that every single person. Of course, I couldn't have meant that. It's just that in terms of what we make in profits, it's not fair that so little of us benefit from tourism.
Yeah. Let's take a pin for a second. Daniel Archer, are you there? Let me see.
I am.
You're there. Okay. No picture, just your.
I'm traveling. I just finished a hearing, so I don't want to be distracted by having to look at the video. So
okay, no problem. That's all right. I just want to check something. How are you, Daniel? You're from the Principal Director of National Integrity Action. I just wanted to get your perspective. I like to get different perspectives in regards to Jamaica and where we're at now with the whole republic and the salary.
I think we're at a crossing point, a crossroads, to be fair.
Yes.
We are at a crossroads because we can have an opportunity that brings Jamaicans together, regardless of where they are, regardless of the party they belong to try and capitalize on putting Jamaica first. I say we have a unique opportunity because we are also at that point where we get, for the first time in our history, in 60 years, an opportunity to craft a document that determines how we're governed, who governs us, and how we're governed. In those circumstances, I'd like to think that if we continue to educate ourselves, if we continue to ask questions, if we continue to challenge governance as it is by saying to those who are known, quote unquote, government or public service, to remind them that you are in the business of public service, that we are the people of Jamaica, whether we live abroad or we're abroad, and that there are some things that are important to us now. We have that unique opportunity to change Jamaica for the better. That's my perspective.
Yeah. Okay, I found a picture now.
You found what?
I found your picture. So your picture is up there, so people can see.
All right. That can work.
Daniel is a superstar now, so a lot of people know her now.
Lord, not yet.
The point which was mentioned a while ago, Daniel, but I won't keep it too long, is that the issue which is happening in Jamaica now is like people from overseas are more interested in it, or maybe are the dissenting voices than Jamaicans back home. What's your take on that?
You know what the reality is?
Yeah.
Those who are abroad tend to spend more time finding out what's happening at home. Those who are home, unfortunately, are caught up with the rudiments of everyday life rough. There are decisions to be made. There are challenges to be made. And let me be fair to you. You know, the income gap has severely widened. When you take a person and you say to them, come out and demonstrate, it's the heart that my granny would have said, the flesh is willing, but the pocket weak. They want to come. But when you think about the expense of losing the job, our employers, those people who we work for, many of them will not pay you for the day. The trade unions who in the past would carry out the education of what is happening, they are silent. The schools don't educate us anymore on civics. So where we get the information from? So when we are talking them, I say, oh, them the people that were foreign beat up them gum. Or is advocates because them have an axe to grind. The reality is most people either A, don't know, B, can't afford it, and C, the organizations that we usually depend on to bring out the masses, to agitate. Think about the gas riots. Remember gas riots? Who brought people in the gas riots? It wasn't just
Which gas riot? 86 or 99?
The one when he was a child, the 90s one.
99. April 99.
That one. Me did you with them time there.
Yeah.
That one who brought them out. Wasn't it the parties that brought them out? Wasn't it the opposition who orchestrated the gas riots?
But the taxi man him kind of started still, but
but them get bucketed from the party. Nobody now back nobody know because how governance is structured, you know. And that's the unfortunate thing. How governance is structured now is only the people who govern who benefit. And they have an interest to maintain the status quo. They're not going to educate the regular Jamaicans as to the importance of the Constitution. What they're busy telling people is we're just going to change the king from the queen to the king. But we're not talking about the importance of having an elected executive who we're going to pay. We're not talking about things such as having in the Constitution how you determine pay. Because if we don't talk about it, we quietly mark the legislation and move it along and tell the people them say, but it's law. And the people them ask, when it become law? So that is the problem, sir. Most of our Jamaicans don't have that. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the person to give them the knowledge. And when it comes to the rubber hitting the road, they can't afford it.
So you said something very poignant, you know, and this is something that I've said since I was living in Jamaica, that, you know, like the present constitution that we have, right? When you look at even some of the highest educated persons in Jamaica, right? They don't even know the constitution. They don't know the rights and stuff like that. They don't know the laws as much. They know a lot more than the average ones. But when they start to go further down the totem pole now, right? The average Jamaican don't understand to maneuver the constitution. Not only that, there's a lot of things in Jamaica that we take for norms or think it is law, that we do it so often it becomes something that is done, but it is illegal. It is not constitutional, right? Now the thing is, we're going to change from one constitution that we don't understand to another constitution that we don't know anything about, you know, and that's going to have a huge effect on the future of Jamaica, and not far future to very near future. If we rush into this new constitution, right, without proper public education, we're going to have a serious issue in our country.
You know, as you say that, Sil, what I want to also make a point to go to the root of what you said about Jamaicans caring more abroad. When I travel, I find that being Jamaican is so much more the thing when you travel.
Yes.
You're on the plane, when you're there at airport, me there at supermarket already, and you hear accent and somebody say, "What? Me I come from yard?" And you go, "Huh?" There tends to be more of a proudness of being Jamaican outside of Jamaica.
Yes.
And so what I want to say is that the spirit of nationalism, the spirit of patriotism, does not exist on the rock in the same way it exists outside of Jamaica. Maybe it is that when people go foreign and say, box cover, life rough, yeah. When we're there yard, we can pick mango. And we can go to Miss Cherry and ask Miss Cherry if we want to pick them for we. But when
and get sugar from next door.
No, you get to appreciate why you not have a yard. When we there yard now, we are caught up with the rudiments. Yes, when you say in a run, we cheer. When World Cup a play, we cheer. But when it comes to being Jamaican, putting Jamaica first, we have never had that example. Look at our leaders. None of our leaders, beside wearing the pin on them lapel, tell you say them is Jamaican and put Jamaica first. They tell you that to serve, you have to pay us. To do this, you have to pay us. Nobody puts country first. And so foreigners, people in the diaspora, maybe because of their struggles, maybe because of what they've left behind, they tend to put the country first. Whereas those of us who are here, because maybe it's the everyday struggle, we don't have that quest or that look upon Jamaica
Yeah.
with the eye of belonging that persons outside of Jamaica look at. That perhaps is one of the
Yeah.
explanations still why
Yes.
people say this is being led for people abroad more than at home.
Well, I'm so glad that you're at home. I presume you're home. You're in
That is
Jamaica, yes?
correct.
Yes, because we even got another guy here. He's in Florida. Nobody there yet. I
No, me
think
there,
even
yeah. Gonna left me right here, so.
nobody, even Gary, he's outside in some place in Fort Lauderdale, isn't it, Gary?
Oh yeah, it's good to see my good friend Lester. Man, Lester looks serious there, man. Serious like a judge.
Yeah, Daniel, I want to ask you a question before you go. Yeah, tell us about the principal, your organization there, please.
All right,
Um,
nice. Thank you for the opportunity.
yes,
National Integrity
principal.
Action
Yes,
is
please.
a
Uh-huh.
non-profit organization that
Mm,
focuses on encouraging attributes of good governance. We
yes.
are focused on being the watchdog for government, educating people about integrity. Our goal is to highlight corruption in all forms and facets. And we are a non-profit organization. So coming in as principal director, I am at day 26 in my capacity. Being a nonprofit, it means that we are focused also on getting donations to have untied funds so that we can run our integrity clubs. We are currently focused on putting these integrity clubs in schools and putting on seminars and conferences about governance. This requires me in my capacity to put myself out there to try and get persons to donate to National Integrity Action. We, as a core, we do proposals or projects rather after submitting proposals to entities like the European Union and USAID, and we benefit from donations from corporations such as Grace Kennedy and National Bakery.
Yes.
So we do a lot of work with the focus and intention on improving governance in Jamaica. So I would take this opportunity of saying that if you are interested in governance, if you're interested in promoting governance on this island, accountability, we were founded by the leading governance specialist in the entire Caribbean, Professor Trevor Monroe. He dedicated
Okay.
10 years in establishing this non-partisan, non-profit organization that focuses on governance. And the aim of it is now to really expand it so that our youngsters understand the importance of accountability, governance, and integrity in their lives.
Yeah. That's one of the very interesting things which I mentioned to Jeanette Calder from JAMP. I mentioned it to Rosalie Hamilton as well, and I say to you as well. It is so crucial and important now, and this is good. Everything which is happening is good in a way. I see the positives in anything. It's an opportunity to have a better Jamaica, and in the sense of the advocacies, if there can be, I use the word a genogram, whereby we can see how they all connect and how people can actually tap into it, and the work of the diaspora, Lester. And I sure you agree, Daniel, that it is our job also to help our people to maybe to breed a level of nationalism. Would you say?
Yes, I agree. I agree. I think we
Yeah.
need to get back to that point. I don't know how we're going to do it, but I think this is a unique opportunity to start to say to people, which has been the context of my conversation.
Yes.
I don't care where you are. I don't care which part you're at this year, in this period, 2023. I'm Jamaican first. I put Jamaica first. Everybody can dead and gone. At the end of the day, what's going to be left? The legacy is not for any individual. The legacy is for Jamaica. And so, you through your own conversations with persons at home, it's kind of hard when you sit on the rock and the dirty tough and you have other problems, but we have to get to that point where we get people to put Jamaica first.
Yes.
I don't know how, but collectively, I'm sure we can have creative ideas and creative ways of doing so. But from the part of NIA, we are committed to educating our youngsters about the importance of accountability and integrity.
Yes. No. Lester, go
Um,
ahead. Lester. Mm.
Daniel,
Yes,
for,
I saw you
for me,
laughing when I was talking, so I'm waiting for it.
No. What I'm laughing about, I wouldn't bother go down that line.
Thank you,
Why were you
please.
why were you laughing,
Please, I'm
Lester?
going
Why
to
were
go down that line. Do not open the door, please and
oh
thanks.
no, no.
I was going to bring up some 70s action, but
And I said, do not go down the door. The past is the past. We look forward. Forward,
exactly.
march.
Exactly.
Thank you. We spend too much time looking back. We will never get to our destination.
Run with it, Lester. Run with the program, Lester. Run with the program. Yes.
One of the things that I think we can do, especially I think that we need to have diaspora voting and also a diaspora fund, because Israel, I've seen where the Jews have developed Israel significantly because of those two things.
Here
right?
is what you're going to run into with the diaspora voting, though, which is perhaps when you say that, you might have to put a qualification on it. There are those who argue that we have our family and friends who live in the diaspora. They don't know what happens here on an everyday basis. And like other jurisdictions, they fly in and vote and leave the people to it. Perhaps if you're going to ask for the diaspora voting, people might want to hear you say, in order to you to activate that vote, you must be resident in the island for 12 weeks or a period of time. Because you would really have to say to a man, you get to fly in and vote for a government that they may not have had certain confidences in, and then you leave and you leave them
and have assets also there that it affects your
or
assets
something. So you want to qualify it. I don't know if it would fly with a population simply to say you have a blanket vote, but people would want to know that you're actively involved in the development of the country, whether it's by virtue of having a business or residing there or something that will allow you to say that you can be affected by the decisions that are made.
Yes, I agree. I agree with that.
Gary, what's your take on the diaspora impact in Jamaica? Are we more excited about what's going down, or are we legitimately have a right? Because I get cussed all the while. Shut your mouth, man. You're there foreign. Don't talk about Jamaica. I'm get it all the while on TikTok and social medias. It's nothing new. Gary.
Well, I think, but they're calling out for the diaspora to contribute, isn't it? So they can't do anything without the diaspora. If the diaspora should stop doing what it is doing, then really how is Jamaica society on a whole going to be what it should? I mean, we're very much a part of the fabric, We're very much a part of the fabric. And Leicester is like Leicester now. Leicester may be up in the Netherlands there, but whatever he brings to Jamaica, he's bringing something that nobody else can bring, even though
a deeper green.
Daniel, I'm gonna be able to tell for the so not
Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted, my friend. Don't get distracted. Don't let him draw you out.
But you're right, because 2020 proved that during the lockdown, the diaspora was one of the main reasons why the economy didn't even collapse. Right? Not just the remittance, but there's a lot of persons who invest in the stock market during that time also and onward. So the diaspora play a huge role.
It does. And well, every so often, as Lester knows very well, and he has addressed it in the past, that every so often the people in Jamaica, the government and everybody there is asking for diaspora to be sending money and sending this and sending that, So for Jamaica now, or Jamaicans, to be telling, again, let me use Lester, to tell Lester to shut up and to mind his own business, and them know he mustn't send anything down there, they are going to suffer, because Jamaica is not going to excel in the way it can or in the way it could. So the diaspora side of Jamaica, which is north, so anywhere in this world you go, there's a Jamaican, even in the deeper, remotest part of the Amazon rainforest. So you can find a Jamaican down
Yeah.
there, right?
Thank you, Gary. I just want, before we wrap up, and Daniel, I just want to say,
Hold on, listener, with a very deep green.
um, Daniel, if you just stay with me for the next few minutes, just someone on TikTok saying, we have been sending over 300 billion a year. We should have a say. Somebody said the diaspora is broke, or something like that. But I'm just sort of sharing some concern. Sorry, Daniel. Go ahead. Go ahead, Daniel. No. That was the point. I just
I
wanted
take
to.
the point, and I do believe that the diaspora. I keep saying to people, the island of Jamaica have more people out of it than they have on the rock.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, I think what it means is that, sometimes it's how it's said and how it's communicated. You must agree that you have many persons who live outside who, because they've gone to foreign, they feel like they can tell you here what to do. They're not listening. They're not listening to the needs or the wants. And it's the same thing that happens with large entities like WHO. You're telling them how to fix a problem without understanding the cultural or social nuances, which may have changed since you have left. So I think it's important that if we want to move ahead for the next 60 years, that the diaspora in and of itself, which is a great contributor. I mean, every family, there's no family on the rock that no have nobody a foreign. Let's put it that way.
That's true.
I don't think there's anybody in Jamaica who can say their auntie, uncle, friend, or cousin live abroad. The question is, what's the connection and how it's done and what is being communicated? Some people may come from foreign. I'm from Manchester, so I'm used to the British telling me what to do, and the British saying that them work hard for their money and they come and they put up their plates.
They like to tell you what to do?
Yes, man. They come and they tell, when I said tell us, this is telling you, this is how we need to do it. Not many people will want to feel that way. And I use you as British because I feel safe by saying that. So I'm not calling out the people in England specifically. But because you live abroad, you may get the impression that you're telling people here what to do. Perhaps it requires us some amount of sensitivity to appreciate that things may not be how it was in the 80s. And so you might want to adjust your sales, but it cannot be denied that the diaspora is critical to our development. It cannot be denied.
Daniel, in 2004, I was at the diaspora conference. I was one of those initial persons on the late Delano Franklin. And Delano always say there's more Jamaica is a hard country because you got leaders outside and leaders inside. And the same amount of Jamaicans inside is the same Jamaicans outside. And I was one of those persons who had put that motion there for overseas voting. And I've always said that all the while because it's on record. And 2006, they said it 2008, and it kept going and kept going. And nobody has really deal with that genie in the bottle. Nobody, they keep kicking the can down the road and nobody's actually addressing it. And that is why it's always there. And my philosophy is that, it's not about how much money someone sent to Jamaica. I always use examples. Say you, Daniel, for argument's sake. If Daniel is passing through the UK and spending 3 weeks or so, and then Andrew only said, I'm gonna radam and call an election in a week. Daniel, it shouldn't be. You don't have to fly back to Jamaica to do that. You should be able to go to the Jamaica High Commission, isn't it?
I agree, but here's where I would challenge you, Sil.
Yes.
They can't just lick the wall. They can't just stop. They can. That was sticking down the road. It just lick the wall,
Yes.
Nobody wants to say top because we have this conversation about constitutional reform.
Yes.
Constitutional reform means that we now talk about things such as Commonwealth rights. So you're a Commonwealth citizen, you can sit in Parliament. You can now say, hold up, we only want Jamaicans who sit in Parliament. Constitutional reform means that we're now talking about who are the eligible people to vote. If we're saying that you are a Jamaican born and bred, and you have had some kind of connection and you can prove connection with the last 6 months, you are so entitled to vote and you're on the voters list. This is constitutional arguments.
Yes.
And this is what the diaspora says. Hello, me here so now have constitutional discussion down a yard. We want this in the constitution too.
So do you believe then that the diaspora or representatives should be on the table with the 14?
Listen, like I said it before, I prefer caveat. I don't want a Jamaican who really just says that they want to vote. I want to know that you're not just living in Jamaica, but you are not living outside of Jamaica, but you're active in Jamaica. So when the US people vote at their embassies, what many of them have to show their returns, correct? That they file their returns, they're up to date, they're proper, the due diligence.
Yes.
I had
Not necessarily.
No, I'm just saying. I'm using this as an example. In other words, when you go into the embassy, you register at the embassy, and the US requires certain things of you, don't they? But as a citizen, you are entitled in the US to file tax returns. Everybody, regardless of who you are, correct? Yes? No? Am I wrong?
No.
I'm British. I'm British and Jamaican.
To the best, let me roll back into my legal stance.
Yeah.
To the best of my knowledge, information, and belief, Americans, and I'm using the example to say, once you are a Jamaican, it doesn't matter where you're at, it doesn't matter what you do. I think you are entitled as a Jamaican to a vote. However, if you're asking Daniel Archer as counsel what my preference is, I would add a caveat, and I would say these persons must have some kind of contact or connection with the island, whether visiting or living, within the last 6 months. I'm just saying that to say that it takes out and it comforts those people in Jamaica who feel that those living out of the diaspora control everything, and they shouldn't, because they're not here to suffer with us.
So there should be some fundamental ties. Then that's what you're saying.
I'm just yes, and so I say that it is not something to be ignored. We have this conversation now about, and I could be wrong, because guess what? You could have a conversation about reforming the Constitution, and you want to be a part of Parliament, which you're so entitled to be.
Yes.
And who says you can't run? And this is where I say to people, it is important that as we talk about the salaries, as we talk about whether or not politicians are public servants or CEOs, that we have this conversation that says, who can vote, who can run? Do we want to limit our constitution now to only people who are part of a party? Or do we want to have people who are capable of running for a position and they are desirous to put themselves up and would like a constitution that encourages their participation? So I say to you still, the can has hit the road. The diaspora has multiple means of participating. They must not sit on the sidelines in this conversation about constitutional reform. You have a book there, my friend.
Yes.
They must not sit on the sidelines about constitutional reform. They must make an active approach to determining how they want their land of yard of birth to be governed. The can has hit the road.
I've got a passport here. I'm very active in Jamaica. Am I qualified to vote based on you?
And I would say yes.
If I go to
yes, and I would
vote
say
in
many
Ochi.
Jamaicans are.
Yes.
All I'm saying is still the purpose of laws is to cure a mischief. The mischief
Rule, yes.
Feel that you don't want people who don't live a yard to govern. So what you're saying to those people is, hear what? Me contribute to, if me not pay me taxes, me live here, me have one house, and me pay property taxes. I me do this, I me do that. So me not just Jamaican where make it a foreign and no they here, now I don't know, and just want to tell people what to do. You by putting in something that is fundamental, that people can understand and agree that you're a part of the process.
Lester laughing. Where must we laugh, Lester?
Because you don't qualify for Silver. You don't qualify for vote, Silver. Although you qualify for vote, you're not on the voters list.
Then
but I'm just gonna. Daniel is gonna sort that out for me.
Then he needs to come to be there. The voters list is open, and you come to be part of the voters list.
Silvan,
yes.
I mean, if the diaspora is being encouraged to go the way that Daniel wants the diaspora to be involved, so of course I think I do support what she says, and I'm in agreement. But if Jamaica can't even sort out some passport, which
Daniel, that's another thing. I don't want to even go into that. I mean, so many Jamaicans over here.
I plead the fifth, if I can, figuratively. These are things, though, Silburn, Gary, that we would have to sort out. To be fair to you, I think we eat an elephant one bite at a time. You eat the side that is
Yes.
closest to you.
Yes.
The side that is closest to us now is not just focusing on how we are being governed, but the opportunity to change how we're being governed and to get
Yeah.
people to participate.
Yeah.
And
But
I
all right,
think if
go
people
on.
were participating from the diaspora, it is more than likely, and if people felt from the diaspora that they had a greater role to play, it's more than likely that there would not be such a rejection of the system. And so that is why my message is have this conversation about the system of governance and utilize the power that you have to create an avenue that you can not only just vote, but you can actively participate in governance.
But
Yeah.
Daniel, I mean,
Yes, sir?
again, I mean, hold on, Silver. I know say you want to wrap it up quick, you know.
No, I'm not wrap it up. I'm going to go on to another topic. Yeah, even though we pass our time still. Go on. Go on, Gary.
No, I think, listen, this thing in regards to the passport, what's been happening here, I've just highlighted that as a small cog in a very large wheel. But in addressing the passport fiasco, that is not a yesterday problem, you know. It's a problem that has always been there in regards to getting passports. What made it worse was that they came to the UK and they promised that everything would have been done within a specific time and people paid the money. And up till now, them things has not happened. So I don't want us to discuss
Gary, you know, I didn't know
the
that.
passport problem.
Daniel, is another thing. I'll have to update you on that bit,
I
Daniel.
didn't know that because here's
Yeah.
why I said I didn't know that. I'm
Yeah.
almost sure I saw a press release from people talking about their efficiency in delivering passports. And I'm interested in that. So Sil, you can just shoot me something to make some
Daniel,
inquiries.
Yeah. I want to go on listen quickly. Yeah.
I have to bring a level of objection here and objectivity and context, right? This situation with the passport immigration and citizen authority with the UK, it is a isolated issue.
Okay.
I have a Jamaican passport that I applied for in 2020 and I got it within like maybe 4 weeks, right?
Right.
Other persons that are living in the Netherlands here, they link me and them say, boy, they want to go to Jamaica, but they want a Jamaican passport. How long it will take to get it at Jamaica? I say, apply for it online. I'm sending the link. Hundreds of people, dozens of people here, and in Germany also. I send the link and them apply for the passport and them get it within a reasonable time. In America, well, you know, in America, the diaspora is bigger, so the connection is much smoother and easier. But this issue that is happening with the United Kingdom, it is kind of an isolated issue because nobody else that I know that I have personally given that link to have this type of issue with the long delay. And it is unfortunate and it is not right. They should be sorted out.
Yeah.
What I think is happening is a staffing issue. Is a staffing issue and an administrative issue. And as you rightly said, Silburn, this thing needs to be on the forefront. It needs to be they need to speak to the people of the United Kingdom and it needs to be addressed and it needs to be addressed now.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah, definitely. Because people every week they're asking me. I saw some people in the park today and they said, Silburn, what's the latest on it? But then I want to wrap up quickly, yeah. And there was a quick somebody pushed me and said, am I going to say something about this? And it's about this lady in Jamaica who's saying she's not going to rent or Airbnb to Black Americans. So I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know if you guys know about it. And
yeah, I've seen the posting. It's not the first one. I personally do have some concerns about it. And I think we need to have some more information on it before I can properly comment. I understand. I don't have a social media presence. I didn't see it for myself.
Yes.
But I think it's a running situation. There seems to be, if my memory serves me correctly, someone else, I think it was one of the Marleys, had a similar situation. I think, this is where I am going to make this point again. Our beaches do not belong to us. And when you talk about certain rights and certain approaches, we do not have the testicular fortitude to promote the presence of these rights that are supposed to be in existence. it's a conversation to have. It's also a conversation to have when we talk about our constitutional rights. Whether or not it's a right, there's a right for discrimination. I don't know. Like I said, I have to get better particulars. But it's a growing phenomenon. It's something that is of concern because we need to find out what's the balancing, what's the reason. Is it and like she says, this entitlement. I'm not sure what she means about this entitlement, but I think it's tying into my mind about the fact that many Jamaicans are locked out from our beaches, and we're soon locked out from many of the hotels. I joined the tip of this conversation when Rosie was talking about Jamaicans not benefiting a lot from tourism. It is true. When you look at the persons who work there and how much they're paid, it is true. So I am concerned about it. Can I come back to you though? Because it might be the beginning. It might be part of a larger problem which needs to be addressed. And I want to be able to have better information to address it in a more holistic manner. Yes, sir.
I would like to add to what you have said, but also to broaden the point that the situation of Jamaicans not owning anything hasn't just come up in the last 20 years, or haven't even come in the last 30 years, from the 80s.
Right.
From the 80s, and I probably early and probably late 70s. Now I remember, and Silborn will know this. I remember going to school in Kingston there, and I was one of them that used to have my father carrying up and down Jamaica. So when I leave school, school in Kingston midday, I can get up into Ochi by the clock, park in the car park, which is no more. I head straight to the beach, and the beach was as wide and as long as I could see. And my friends and I would lie down on the beach until late night, then jump in the car and go back to Kingston. Now the Jamaican government and everybody down there just sell off the whole place.
It's not just the government alone, but if you
sell off the airline, them sell off. If them could sell, if them could sell the very air that you breathe, they would do that. No,
I'm not going down that road with you, Mr.
No, I know
what I will say, I had the benefit of going to school in Barbados. And I remember in Barbados learning that Bajans had a right to their beaches and they had to have a trek. And I was like, what? When I came back to Jamaica and recognized that it was not so and how severe the situation was, history will remind us that in Jamaica, unlike any other Caribbean territory, property rights were more important. And the few who held property were not the color of any of us on this platform. In those circumstances, property rights and the ability to tell people that they must have the lower folks, the employees, the laborers visit these areas, you must recognize that Jamaica is fundamentally a rather classist society, which is racially collated.
Well,
when we talk about constitutional reform, no, there is, until constitutional reform happens still, every conversation you have with me, I will show you the connection of how important it is. When we have this constitutional reform, there is the argument that every Jamaican must have the right of access to these beaches. There is the argument that whatever hotels you have, you must have special relations for Jamaicans. Now, I challenge. Excuse me?
Don't let Lester talk. We don't want to hear Lester.
I'm just saying that these conversations about the rights of Jamaicans to vacationing property or property located on the rock, these are conversations to have. However they come out, I cannot say. What I will say is that everything seems to be coalescing now still. Everything. Conversations about rights to beaches, conversations about Jamaican vacationers and whether they have the access to these venues, conversations about whether or not the diaspora should vote, conversations about whether we should still have the two-party system or
full go
system where independent people can significantly participate. George Wright taught us that even with an independent man, you still not have no independent seat and you have no independent vote. How do we fix that going forward? So every issue that we have as a Jamaican, we can and do have an opportunity now to have a conversation about the Constitution. This Constitution is not just a figurative document. It is something that sets out how we govern ourselves. It becomes important because we do not want a parliament that is supreme. It means that if a parliament is supreme, anybody who is prime minister, anybody who is president can get up one morning and decide what the laws are.
Yes.
And that's why it is important that both those Jamaicans at home and abroad vigilantly watch what is happening with the Constitution so that there is one standard of law.
Yes.
Everybody, black, white, money or unmoneyed, haves or the have-nots. The Constitution creates an opportunity to level the playing field for those who have and those who don't have, and those who will abuse and those who will be abused.
Those are very powerful words. I'll let Lester come in on that and we'll wrap up. Lester.
All right. I hear
not a prime ministerial speech, you know, just
no. I hear Daniel and I hear Gary. Again, we have to bring in the facts. We have to bring in context, right? Now, what has happened? Jamaicans have access to these beaches, you know, to a lot of beaches, you know, right? You know what has been the overbearing factor is that when these Jamaicans who had access to walk onto these beaches, right, they started to sell cocaine, they started to sell ganja, they started to sell their bodies and offer sexual services to tourists and stuff like that. They started to rob tourists on the beaches and stuff like that. So this is one of the main factors why hotels and persons start to say, listen, we don't want certain type of persons on the beach if you're not a guest at the hotel. So we have to factor in that because visitors were being targeted and harassed. This is something that I experienced. This is something that I experienced.
So I'm going to stop you and I'm going to simply say this. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Where people have to hustle and create opportunities, they're going to do so. When a Jamaican does not understand the value of being Jamaican and the value of tourism, that is not just one set of people who are benefiting. So what I'm saying to you, Lester, I'm not denying that it happens. I'm not saying that there's an excuse for it besides the social and economic conditions at which we exist in. I am simply saying where we are at this juncture, we have the unique opportunity of educating Jamaicans to understand that certain things affect us as a brand, as a people, and it affects them. As we stand and as I speak to you today, I almost guarantee you that any of those persons who are doing those things, they're going to tell you, you don't understand, yeah, because also me have to hustle, not there. This is what we have to do in terms of opportunities. And I'm just being, you say you have to balance the facts. I'm just asking you to take into consideration.
Daniel, I disagree with you. I'm from the streets and I'm telling you, West Kingston, I'm born and grow. You understand me? I've lived in like 8 different parishes in Jamaica. And it is an excuse about hustle, it's an excuse about poverty and everything. I'm telling you, it's an excuse. The thing that they do, they don't have to do these things.
Did you miss my point about being Jamaican and the value of being Jamaican and the impact that being Jamaican has on everything and the fact that we don't teach that?
And I'm telling you, these people know better. I'm telling you. And you as an attorney should know that also, that these people make these choices sometimes just because they think that they can do it.
I will not delve to the level of you saying as an attorney I should know. I don't presume to know what other people know. What I do is represent what I see, and what I ask myself is, have we considered the social and economic factors, and have we considered that the generation that I belong to, let me speak for that generation, none of the persons in my generation were brought up to put Jamaica first or to understand the importance of their activities to other people. We have created a very individualized society and a society that looks out for themselves as opposed to country. My argument to all of that which you say is we can change that when we recognize that we must put Jamaica first. And in doing so, we create a platform like this conversation about the reform of Jamaica to show people that people participation and their own views matter. That is how I think we energize people into doing things like telling a brother, my youth, come off of that breach, say when you do this, you affect for my livelihood. Right, yes or no, whatever excuse they give, you can't say it's right or it can't say it's wrong. Because ultimately, many people do not think about putting Jamaica first. What they do think about is how much they can make and when they can make it and how.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Daniel, for coming on tonight. And for those who are asking about the Jamaica Constitution, I gave the link right there. It's actually on the website. You can even download it. You can just Google it. You can find
And
it as
Justice
well.
Batts has a book that has simplified the Constitution. It's a very simple little book. I
Yes.
think you can get it from Ian Randall Publishers. They do have it online. For most
Yeah.
of us, the Constitution is hard to read, but
Yeah.
Justice David's Batts book is very, very,
Yeah.
very succinct, very, very in normal language. So
Yeah.
no matter, no stress your mind. If
Yes.
you
And can I beg you to just WhatsApp me that link, then I can just post it up as
Sure.
well. But there's one positive thing though. Sorry, Lester.
Put the Constitution up on TikTok.
But there's one thing which is very positive, which I picked up, and in regarding nationalism and for Jamaica is this young man who actually I've got a picture of him here. His name is Mr. Yui. Went to space, Galactica, and he made sure that he put his Jamaica. I don't know. You guys know about him? Have you heard about this guy?
Yeah. I read the article. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that is very positive about it. His name is Yui, and I'm related to the Yuis in a way. I just spoke to my cousin a while ago and said, "Is he a part of the Yui?" And she said, "Yes." So there's a family connection there. So I'll learn more about him as well. But he went to space, and what he said, he makes sure that he's gonna put up his Jamaica flag upon the US flag as well. So what he's doing is promoting. Sorry, let me say, he's promoting Jamaica. He's promoting Jamaica, Daniel, and one of the things is that I believe that, as you rightly say, or someone said it earlier, that Jamaicans, when they're overseas, they find so many reasons to really focus on Jamaica, link with Jamaica, and have a zero, what should I say, an eagle eye on Jamaica. When I'm walking in the park in the mornings, and somebody say, "Where are you from?" or something like that, I find this as an opportunity to say, "I come from Ochi." So might you say, "What do you mean where I come from?" If you know the big debate with in Buckingham Palace. But I love to talk about Ochi. I come from Ochi, man from Ochi, and I say, "Where's Ochi?" And I love talking about that. So it's a very exciting thing for me to talk about Jamaica all the while and come from Ochi, which is the best place in Jamaica, of course. I know Lester is laughing.
the only reason you're saying that is because nobody can see you and sort you out.
Nobody can see. Where am I? Where am I?
Nobody can physically. Nobody not there beside you for sure. You say what you're talking is foolishness. Ocherous is not Manchester.
Daniel.
Yes.
Daniel.
Yes. Ocherous is not Manchester.
Ask him geographically what hospital was he born?
Don't in the gully, man. The gully of
Man, Ocherous.
I was born. I was born in St. Mary Hospital, but people always born at Daniel, people always born at different sort of hospital and stuff like that.
Yes, but either way, it's not Ocherous. I think it's a convenient time. My feelings are hurt. Ocherous.
Well, guys, any last word? Daniel, any last word before we wrap up here?
Not Ocherous.
I clearly remember, it was a Kingston that was going to go build Ocherous.
I don't care who build what, when, where, and why. It's not Ocherous. But fun and joke aside, thank you for the opportunity to share this evening. I would want to encourage all who are listening and all who will listen that this is a most serious time in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
That we are present in biblical terms for such a time as this.
Mm-hmm.
Do not take the opportunity for granted. Do not exploit the opportunity. Think about the people who will come after you. The legacy is what Jamaica will be in 60 years. And I think it is a unique opportunity for those persons living in the diaspora to make a significant contribution to the Constitution, which will certainly determine the level of your participation, the appropriateness of your participation, as well as the future of Jamaica. Get involved in the process, support the process, and also don't forget that democracy right across the world is being threatened. It is being threatened, so we can't take it for granted that Jamaica is going to stand tall always. And so we ask you to remember the entities here that are promoting good governance and accountability, and see how you can help them to continue to be the watchdogs here in Jamaica to ensure that everybody has a part to play. We reduce corruption as much as possible, and we always ensure that the best accountability measures are instituted. Thank you so much
Fantastic.
for having me.
Thank you so much. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find out about the National Integrity Network,
Action.
Action Station. Somebody wrote me privately, said Daniel for president. Just to let you know, Daniel. You know.
No.
I'm just letting you know that sometimes. I'm just letting you know that.
Typo. That meant principal director.
You know, but the numbers are there where you can see it, and you can even Google it as well. But email info@niajamaica.org. And Daniel, my last word is what I said to Rosalie and to Jeanette Calder, and it is to link all of these organizations in a structure whereby we can say, if you go to that, and it all link in.
Yes.
In a very strategic way. So
we're doing work together, but we all have different focuses. So NIA focuses on governance and accountability. JAM provides you with the tools that you need to participate, and Advocates Network provides the bodies and the connection between the entities so that we support each other.
Powerful. And it's our job to bring it out a lot to the people. Listen, I want to thank you so much, and have a good one, and enjoy the rest of the day. And remember to send me the link for that book.
Sent already.
Yeah. And big up Ochi. Sorry, I mean Manchester.
You are really pushing. You know when a Jamaican begs with somebody how it can feel? You know what that means, Sil? I want to know what that means.
Daniel,
Yes, Les.
Daniel, you must invite him to the wonderful blue beaches of Mandeville.
Me not invite him nowhere.
I got relatives in Mandeville.
Don't come to Manchester. We're gonna stand right at the border and tell them to turn your back.
Mandeville on the beach.
we have beaches. Manchester has beaches. You also border.
Manchester.
Mandeville doesn't have a beach. You care? You see, if you could have shown me a point you, everywhere else hotter them time of day, when no one come and cool down. We're cool like Mandeville.
Daniel, you nearly sound like Rosalie. Justice me want. Rosie. Was it Rosie?
Portland.
Listen, don't listen.
Don't draw my tongue.
Listen,
Mandeville is no Portland.
Excuse me?
Mandeville is no Portland, not even close.
We weren't comparing apples and peaches, We're talking about Mandeville not being an Ochi.
But okay.
If you want to draw me in, I will fix it for you. Don't worry. We'll take this off air. Remember, great man, go to Portland, go sit down on the beach and take a picture and make your wish sad so you did there.
Mm-hmm. And the funny thing, Daniel, you are the only one in Jamaica at this present moment.
There you go.
You have so much authority. I'm just supporting you. I'm your junior counsel. Yeah, I'm supporting you.
I don't need your help. You're looking forward.
Are you sure that she's in?
You're looking forward.
Actually, Corey, there's a guy named Corey that normally he was here, but he said he's in the background. Corey never tell us where he is. You know what he says all the while? I'm on the internet.
That's right.
Yeah, he's a resident.
Me have my passport. My passport can't tell you where you're there. You have one? Oops, sorry. Silly, don't have one, right?
I have a passport.
What that is a while ago? If me have a passport?
I'm not just saying, gentlemen, have a good evening. It's a pleasure being here. Yes, I have you up. And you know what they say about a Jamaican duppy. I will find you. I will find you. And none of you have the gracious pleasure of being right here on the rock. You don't love to drink a red stripe now, don't? Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why she's a Robert Teen star.
Yeah, man. Or a nice cool
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Me might not have no beach in money, but me have coconut water, which is not in a buckle.
I was gonna say I have coconut water, but she just said the word not in a bottle. She just said not in a bottle, so we can't go feed.
And not a tasty patty that was in the freeze and had to be warmed up.
With that said, I'd like to big up the MP for Central Manchester. Lovely person, very good friend of mine.
All of a sudden,
Come on, road on my girl.
Getting the red stripe. Gentlemen, I bid you good evening.
Okay, all the best, Daniel. Thank you so much for your indulgence. We got Manchester big time, the best place in Jamaica.
That's how you make friends and win people.
Yes, all the influence and influence. See ya. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Thank you. Cheers. Okay, gentlemen. Well, listen, that was a great one. Lester, he said Gary. Gary's in the States now, so him not know where I go now.
She look fresh and young.
He's just relaxing now. It's early for him there. For you, I'm now 12:34 in the morning. 34, and you're what? 2:34, 1:34, Lester.
1:34.
1:34. So Gary, just come on.
So where are you, Lester?
I'm
Lester,
home.
where are you?
I'm home.
Where?
A 1 yard me have.
Well, hold on. Are you in Jamaica or are you in the Netherlands or are you on the net? Which one?
He's on the internet.
I'm in Maryland.
Well, listen. Well, listen, guys. Listen, I want to let's have a thank you so much for coming on tonight, and very informative. And let's, as you say, with the guys that came on earlier, we'll try to invite them, young people, everything in context as much as possible. And thanks for Robert Stevens from co-chair of. I want to make sure I got it right. Is it Robert Stevens from the co-chair for? Yes, Advocates Network. Yes, and also Professor Rosalie Hamilton from Advocates Network, and also Rosemary as well, who came on, and Daniel Archer from the NIA, National Integrity Action Jamaica. And it's so crucial that we have all these different organizations and their structures. And I think it's so important because I think sometimes the struggle they must have is keeping above politics, because normally when we come on to advocacy or so, there's always where them come from? Are they PNP or JLP or something like that? But it is good that people can actually rise above the fray. And as I say to you, Lester, sometimes, one can be PNP, one can be JLP, one can be UIC. But if somebody's saying something which is powerful and really good, instead of somebody saying, "I'm not listening to my PNP, I'm not listening to my JLP, I'm not listening to my UIC," we miss the point and we miss a teaching moment. And I think the teaching moment is whereby all ideas contend and we can come together. And as the different persons are saying, we're at a crossroad, we're at a threshold, and I'm sure we all agree that we can try to create the right Jamaica that we want to be at this time. Am I correct there, guys?
Yeah, but Silver, quickly, one of the things is, and I've said it on this platform many times, that one of the reasons why we don't have this nationalistic vibe is because of how we were raised, and like we saw politicians them as royalty or the Hollywood celebrities. Yes. That's how we see them as, and over the years we have been so dependent on politics or politicians for everything, and so it is now people start and with more technology and advancement, people is even more divided now than anything else, because the common person now has a voice. I mean, back in the day, Silver, that too. Persons you express themselves, they usually have a right to the gleaner,
yes,
or the observer, and the editor choose to print what he or she chooses to. No, you don't have that gatekeeper anymore. It's wide open, so a lot more biases are pouring in and stuff like that. But as Daniel said, and what we have always advocate for this on this platform is that what we have now is very, very, very important. That everybody's voice, everybody has a chance to be inclusive. Everybody has a chance to let their thoughts and their ideas not to just be heard, but also to learn. Because
Yes.
sometimes we just want to be heard, but we don't take the time out to learn also, and
Yes.
to understand and to grow. And it's a great time for us to say, you know what, let me try to learn some more so that I can
Yeah.
make better decisions. So that's very, very important.
Yeah. And Gary.
Yeah, I mean, well, one thing, I'm sorry for coming in late, but because I was just involved in something here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree with what Lester has says, and I think that again, it's for the diaspora, don't not to be put off by what seems to be happening or what very few people are saying. I think sometimes what is so damaging is
Yeah.
that it's the few that says the negative that's in the important positions, and that influences the whole.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that the diaspora really is a very, very important part of the whole Jamaican
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
those living within as well as living without. So I'm just glad to be a part
Yeah.
of that.
And I've always said all the while that the most powerful a Jamaica can be is whereby there's an effective partnership with Jamaicans overseas and Jamaicans back home, and fusing that together. We can't go
Yep.
wrong. And when persons are saying don't talk about it, I always say, listen, just keep it easy. We all need somehow to work together and to coexist. And in last with the different persons were saying, Stacey Thompson, she said she's from St. Anne to be exact. No, sorry, Veronica Tate, St. Anne to be exact. Stacey Thompson, she's from Ochiers. Well, I grew up with her, so she's from Ochi, but she's in the States. Veronica Tate, I heard you need a passport to go Ochi. Lester, I don't know if you have your passport yet, but maybe you get
I,
some. You
I
get
travel on my wife's document.
you travel your wife documents. Okay, so you can get you to go Ochi. Well, great for you. Let's see if we can send some for Danielle. I don't know why I mentioned her name. Boy, she'll come for me. Let's hope she's driving and not listening in. Veronica Tate said from the cool hills of Manchester, where she's and Veronica Tate says she's in Holland.
No man,
Holland.
Daniel has a passport. Is the visa she need.
As a visa she need as well. All right. Well, listen, Gary, you have a good one.
All
You're in
right,
you're
sir.
there,
Bless you, man.
and Lester, peace out. God bless you, and thank you for coming on, and we'll reconvene, and let's see if we can try get Nestor, the minister, Honorable Nestor Morgan, come on the show to talk and to share his views as well. All right, all right.
And
Nestor,
and,
work on
and
that.
Gary, not too much sunbathing now, Gary.
No, I won't. I promise you, I won't. Because probably you won't see me. It just in the teeth.
those those beaches in Miami, those beaches in Florida. I mean, it's a beautiful scenery.
Yes,
What you
Lester.
trying to,
Gary, yep,
trying
you're
to tell
pretty.
us?
Thank you, Lester, for the elaboration and the of
It,
Just,
it looks like
just be careful
one
you
of the,
don't try to come back into the scenery back in a suitcase. Just
one of these one of these days, Lester. It looks like we have to link up and go up on the beach one of them days. Me and you.
no. I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to. You see,
we're all married men, man. We're all married
Well,
men.
I'm not allowed to.
it looks like you'll have to.
This,
Well, you'll have to you will have to coach me and Silborn then, because me and
no,
Silborn
no,
don't know what you're talking.
no, no.
I have no idea what he's talking about. I'm just not. I can't even plead the fifth. Plead the fifth is when you know something and you plead the fifth, as Daniel said.
I'm just offering love and advice out. I want Gary to be safe. Just don't care. Don't try to care about human.
Remember, I am a man of the cloth. Me have
Yeah.
to be careful.
I know people are cuss cloth these days. Listen, I know people are cuss cloth.
Gilbert, he wants to be the people wearing a lot of cloth on the beach also.
Okay. Well, listen. Talk and sip.
Man.
Cheers. I don't know
All
if
right,
you're
then. All
drinking.
right.
You guys, none of you guys were drinking. Gary, don't be drinking.
Thank audience.
Yeah.
The participants and on TikTok and on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. Thank you every week.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, somebody just came in and have their saying now Portland is the best parish in terms of lovely sea and river guys. So that's the last word from Lorna Foster. Portland is the best place to be. All right. Anyhow, take care of yourself. See you around.
Bless you. Yeah.
God bless you. Cheers. Bye bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for a very intriguing and interesting show tonight. And I think the most thing that came out of it is that we all have a part to play in the big picture and the scheme of things, especially when it comes to Jamaica. Thank you to all my guests again who came on tonight. And of course, as I started, I'll end, and I'll just big up my sister Stacey Thompson, who is on the show with her different soap, Fruity Love soap, Manuka honey soap, gummy bedtime soap. They got different prices: £3, £4, £5, £7. And I'll get some more information on that. And you can give her a call, text or call Stacey at 1347-356-6758 to place an order. Text or call Stacey at 1347-356-6758. I think it's very important that we support and we build each other as much as possible. And let me see. Yep, that's it there. Okay, so see you next week and all the best. Peace out. Bye-bye.